CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 6 o'clock on Thursday, August 6th, and the weather is very stable, just like yesterday and the day before. We've got sunshine, highs of 25, and a little bit of smoke haze kind of up there somewhere. We'll get you the full forecast in just a moment. But first, we get to the news, and sitting in for Lisa Best, here is Steve Young.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. A new report says human-induced climate change made the conditions that fueled July wildfires in Ontario and the Northwest Territories roughly twice as likely.
Early estimates suggest this is the worst wildfire season on record in Ontario and in the Territories' top 10. In the World Weather Attribution Report, an international team of scientists says what used to be rare fire conditions are now more likely today due to climate change driven by the burning of fossil fuels. Early observations indicate the hot, dry, and windy conditions underlying fires in the Northwest Territories could now be expected to occur every 2 to 6 years. And every 6 to 15 years in Ontario. The report suggests that in a world without human-caused climate change, those conditions would have been present less than once in 40 years. Karen Rebo, The Canadian Press.
Closer to home, a few dozen properties in a village in Metro Vancouver are under evacuation alert due to a nearby wildfire, while evacuees in British Columbia Fraser Canyon may start returning home. The blaze burning in Belcarra Regional Park has prompted those from 35 properties in the village of Anmore, north of Port Moody, to pack essential items and be ready to leave at a moment's notice. The alerts come as residents in and around the interior community of Boston Bar begin returning after weeks-long evacuation orders were downgraded to evacuation alerts. The Fraser Valley Regional District says residents must stay ready to leave as the Brunswick and Ainslie Creek fires continue to burn out of control. The BC Labour Relations Board has rejected a bid by Amazon to stop binding arbitration in the e-commerce's giant collective bargaining talks with workers at a facility in Delta. The board's decision this week says Amazon and Unifor, which represents the workers, will have 7 days to agree on an arbitrator before the board appoints one. Arbitration was recommended and accepted by the union, but rejected by Amazon. Amazon spokesperson Stan Stevenson says they're appealing the decision and want the board to pause the arbitration until employees' decertification votes are counted. A Victoria man who was recently extradited from Germany to face accusations of running a dark web drug trafficking ring has been sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. Mounties say 29-year-old Isaac Oliveira Scott pleaded guilty last month to trafficking a controlled substance, possession for the purpose of trafficking, and 3 firearms offenses. Police say the investigation began in December of 2022 when officers learned of a group distributing illegal drugs and counterfeit pills containing fentanyl across Canada by using cryptocurrency, the dark web, and Canada Post. He was arrested by German authorities this February and extradited back to Canada in April. Canada's first Foreign Influence Transparency Commissioner says the new Foreign Influence Registry will build resilience against outside meddling in Canada's democracy.
Anton Bogman says the biggest challenge he faces in the new role will be ensuring the public understands the new federal transparency framework he's tasked with overseeing.
The new regime, the new system, will really help Canadians understand who's attempting to influence the political or government processes here in Canada, and with whom are they doing that? Anyone who has an arrangement to help a foreign power influence Canadian politics must register their activity with his office by October 3rd, or face fines between $250 to $1 million. Bogman officially started in the new role this week and says the office expects to eventually process around 2,000 registrations. Hannah Stoles, The Canadian Press.
The union representing WestJet cabin crew has shared details of the tentative deal reached with the Calgary-based airline this week after that one-day strike. The Canadian Union of Public Employees says the deal includes a more than 18% wage hike over 3 years, as well as a new duty period premium that adds compensation for work done on the ground. It also includes increased time off and higher food and uniform allowances among other things. That's your news to 6:05. Today's CFAX 1070 News poll. Do you think BC needs to call a province-wide state of emergency due to the southern interior wildfires? 57% say yes, 43% say no. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Steve Young. It's 6:06.
Hey, thanks, Steve, and good morning. Welcome to Thursday. Weather just looks like the last few days. Right now we've got 13 degrees, clear but slightly hazy skies, and we'll get you the full sense of things in just a moment. Right now, we want to give you the sports. Lots to talk about when it comes to local baseball. Let's start with the story of the two teams. We've got in Victoria, the Harbour Cats. In Nanaimo, we got the Night Owls. A couple of different stories here. For the Night Owls, well, they've clinched the playoff spots. Their regular season is over. They defeated the Kamloops North Paws 15-8 yesterday, and with that, they officially clinched the franchise's first ever playoff berth in the West Coast League. It cements their postseason position, sets up a first-round series against the Bellingham Bells. The Night Owls actually had that playoff clinching happen beyond them because there was another game with the Edmonton Riverhawks and the Bellingham Bells. With that, the result of that game, it actually gave them the playoff berth. But they had their win anyways yesterday. So the Night Owls, for the first time ever, moving on to the playoffs. The Victoria Harbour Cats will not be moving on. In fact, their final game of the regular season against the Wenatchee Apple Sox that was scheduled for yesterday got canceled due to wildfire smoke. But the team says the outcome of the game would have had no impact on the playoff seeding for any of the teams in the North Division. Wenatchee had already clinched the number one seed. Victoria was eliminated from playoff contention already. So the 2026 Harbour Cats season ends with a record of 26-26. Major League Baseball, Toronto Blue Jays with a 5-4 win over Houston in 10 innings. Seattle Mariners downed Detroit 4-2. And in the world of tennis, top-ranked Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime has withdrawn from the National Bank Open with a back injury before his first match. The second-seeded Auger-Aliassime arrived in Montreal as one of the men's singles favorites. He says he felt the injury a few days ago. He couldn't serve during a warm-up before facing his opponent in the second round, so he's backed out.
Well, I started having pain Monday. It was quite sudden. I was training here for 2 weeks, and I had zero problems. So it happens sometimes. It's happened for me in the past, but it's just the timing is tough, right?
He says he needs to go for some more tests before he knows how long he'll be out. On the women's side, though, Leah Fernandez is carrying the torch for Canada at the National Bank Open, the country's tennis championship. The native of Laval, Quebec, breezed past Mexican player Renata Zarusa last night in the round of 64 of the women's singles tournament. Fernandez is now the only Canadian left in either the men's or the women's singles tournaments. That's your CFAX Sports to 6:09. Time for CFAX 1070 traffic and weather on the roads. Things are pretty smooth sailing right now. No crashes, no major congestion on any of our major routes. If you see something, though, causing trouble, text me at 71010. BC Ferries, 7 o'clock sailing, about half full. No sailing waits there. And in the weather forecast, it's a pretty easy one today. Just remember yesterday and the day before that, we got that again. Sunshine, little smoke haze, highs of 25, humidity making it feel a bit warmer. Clear skies tonight, lows down to 14. Tomorrow, sunshine, getting a little windier. That'll be a bit of a change tomorrow. We're going to see 50 kilometer an hour winds off the Juan de Fuca Strait, westerly winds, kind of in the midday. Highs of 24 otherwise, and humidity back in the picture. But I think for those who are closer to the Juan de Fuca Strait side and that end of the capital region, you might feel a lot cooler than that. For the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, mostly sunny. Could see the odd bit of cloud here and there. Temperatures around about 22 degrees both days. It's going to be a very usable weekend for things like the big Foster Foundation events going on in the Inner Harbour on Saturday. And for the temperatures right now, we're looking at 13 degrees pretty much across the board. A few spots, though, showing 14, like at the Victoria International Airport. Business news, North American stock markets won't open until later this hour. So let's take a look at how yesterday closed up with Aaron Sousa.
Canada's main stock index hit record highs yesterday. Toronto's S&P TSX climbed 344 points to 36,146. In New York, the Dow was up 263 points, while the Nasdaq slipped 221. Now in Tokyo this morning, the Nikkei dropped 617 points. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong fell 1.49%. Our dollar's early trading is around 71.36 cents US. The Union for WestJet's cabin crew is revealing details of its new tentative deal. It includes an 18% wage increase over 3 years and pay for ground duties. Members will vote on the deal soon. Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada's stance toward the U.S. remains quite firm. This amid looming tariffs on Canadian imports. Carney says trade negotiations with Washington remain constructive. And France will soon ban unsolicited telemarketing calls. Exemptions include calls to existing customers or those who have given explicit consent. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Aaron Sousa.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Thursday. I'm Ryan. We got Steve here on the news desk in for Lisa again today. Good morning to you, Steve. How you doing?
Thursday, I'm getting there, man.
You're getting there. Thursday. It's weird though, because it was the short week. We had Monday off, or I should say a lot of people had Monday off for the BC Day stat holiday. But sometimes even though it's a short week, it doesn't necessarily feel that way. It feels like it should be Friday already.
You know what I noticed today?
Yeah.
So it's been so I filled in for you for those 2 weeks.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Then I did my regular job for a week, and then I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So when I first started working for you, it was still a little bit of daylight.
It's getting a little darker. It's getting a little darker.
Yeah, there was no daylight today. None whatsoever. You know, that little hope that you get just because certain times of the year. I'm sure you appreciate this more than most.
Oh, yeah. I love this. A few months where you get to wake up in daylight just like everybody else. Yeah. Sunrise officially, by the way, today was 5:55. So, I mean, we're just about on air by the time there's official sunrise now. So we're slowly getting out of that. Sunset at 8:43.
Yeah.
But you know what the good news is about that, though? Because you know me, I'm all about the silver linings. Getting darker a little earlier means that it's going to be nice and good, backdrop conditions for when they set off the fireworks and do the drone show on Saturday in the Inner Harbour for the Foster celebration.
Yes, and they have a map now where you can sit.
Okay.
They've even outlaid where they're going to put big screens so you can monitor it.
Yeah.
And there'll be a screen on the legislature lawn.
Yeah.
So that's not in a bad spot. They have some places, like right down by the Inner Harbour, that are going to be roped off and not available to the public. So if you're planning to go, just take a gander. I think it will really help you decide where you're going to stand or sit or where you're going to put up your lawn chair. I just think it will really make things clear to you where's the best spot for you.
And this is a perfect time to do that. I notice Victoria gets like this. We get to be a bit of a last-minute town sometimes. But I feel like this event is now so close. People are starting to talk about it. I was just walking the dog yesterday, and it came up in conversation several times with people you'd come across. Like, oh, hey, are you going down on that thing? What's your plan? So if you are like that, you're thinking like, oh, maybe this is now in front of me. It's Saturday. Maybe I should work out what I want to do. Let's talk a bit more about it, Steve, in just a few moments. A few of the details we know, just some of the logistics you might want to know if you're starting to think about coming down to the Inner Harbor on Saturday. Let's go through that in just a moment. But first, let's get to the news. What's happening in the headlines? Here's Steve.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Wildfire losses are growing across the interior, with news that structures have been damaged or destroyed on about 120 properties near Clinton. Roughly 1,500 properties remained under evacuation order because of the massive Pearl Lake fire. A firefighting helicopter also crashed into a lake near Clinton, leaving the pilot with minor injuries yesterday. Near the northwestern shore of Okanagan Lake, the Bradley Creek wildfire west of Vernon destroyed 230 homes on the Okanagan Indian Band Reserve on Saturday. And this morning, a few dozen properties in the Metro Vancouver village of Anmore are under evacuation alert due to a fire burning in Belcarra Regional Park. There are still 2 active wildfires west of Campbell River, either being held or under control. Those are the only 2 on the island. A new report says human-induced climate change made the conditions that fueled July wildfires in Ontario and the Northwest Territories roughly twice as likely. In the World Weather Attribution Report, an international team of scientists says what used to be rare fire conditions are now more and more likely today. Early observations indicate the hot, dry, and windy conditions underlying the fires in the Northwest Territories could now be expected to occur every 2 to 6 years and every 6 to 15 years in Ontario. The report suggests that in a world without human-caused climate change, those conditions would have been much rarer, like once in 40 years. Victoria man who was recently extradited from Germany to face accusations of running a dark web drug trafficking ring has been sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. Mounties say 29-year-old Isaac Oliveira Scott pleaded guilty last month to trafficking a controlled substance, possession for the purpose of trafficking, and 3 firearms offenses. Police say the investigation began in December of 2022 when officers learned of a group distributing illegal drugs and counterfeit pills containing fentanyl across Canada by using cryptocurrency, the dark web, and Canada Post. He was arrested by German authorities this February and extradited to Canada in April. That's your news headlines to 6:18.
Thank you, Steve. Traffic and weather checked in just a moment. So amongst the weather forecast, I am noticing the air quality is expected to get just a tiny bit worse than it has been the last couple of days. We'll talk about that. And also, what's going on with the David Foster and Friends Big Inner Harbor Bash this Saturday. Some more details coming up next. It's 6:20 here on Thursday morning. Roads look clear right now. Text me at 71010 if you see otherwise, but all of our major routes are looking smooth. We will have that Fortis gas work on Langford Parkway near Langford Lake Road again. That's going to be going on for a couple of weeks, it looks like. So watch out for that. It's kicking up at 7 this morning. It's not there as of yet. For BC Ferries, no sailing waits. For the weather, same again. It's been a very similar week. Every day's sunny, but with some smoke haze. We've got highs of 25, feeling a little cooler off the Juan de Fuca Strait, but feeling warmer with some humidity if you're inland. This is the same picture again, just like the last couple of days. Tonight, clear skies, still a little hazy, lows to 14. And then tomorrow, mostly the same, except a little extra breeze. We're expecting wind to pick up to about 50 kilometers an hour off the Juan de Fuca Strait in the morning and in the afternoon tomorrow. But otherwise, a very similar forecast. And the weekend looks sunny, too, with just a few clouds and temperatures up to about 22 degrees. Another thing, though, we do have that smoke haze. It might be slightly worse today, and we'll explain that in just a second. Right now, we're sitting at 14 degrees at the airport.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Foster and Friends, including the Friday and the Saturday events in just a few moments. But let's just talk about air quality for a quick second, Steve. We were mentioning this yesterday in our discussion that we were still in the low-risk category, even though we saw that haze overhead. Well, today we're going to bump up to what they have as a 4 on their scale of 1 to 10, whereas 1 is perfect, great air, and 10 is terrible. We're now moving into the moderate risk category of air quality. Just at times today, it's not going to be right through, but we will see that at times as the smoke gets, I guess, a little bit thicker. What does moderate risk mean? I think it means you don't really have to change anything. You're not expected to have to change your behavior or what you're doing, but it does just mean that you'll notice it a little bit more and just sort of watch yourself, and if you need to take it easy, do. But I don't think they are expecting anybody to change their behavior because of it. Just be aware, it's slightly worse today.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I looked at the smoke forecast this morning. So around 10 o'clock, it's going to get pretty clear. And then 2 o'clock in the afternoon, sort of mid-afternoon, it circles back in. So
it kind of comes and goes.
Yeah, kind of. And we're on the very edge as you go further south. So places like Seattle are getting it a lot worse than we are. And over in Vancouver on the mainland is getting it a lot worse than we are. And if you're up in Port Hardy, you're not getting it at all.
Yeah, it's just sort of the south part of Vancouver Island that's sort of just getting a little bit of it here and there. But yeah, slightly worse today than it has been the last couple of days. If you think you notice that, you're not wrong. It is a 4 on the air quality index. Again, as they put it, what is it? You can carry on with your normal outdoor routines, but pay attention to minor symptoms like a sore throat or coughing. Stop your activity if your symptoms start. That's what they say a moderate risk means. That's according to Environment Canada. I want to talk about the Foster Foundation events going on this weekend because we've got more details about how it's all going to be laid out, as you were mentioning before, Steve. The gala is on Friday. They'll have the big red carpet out to the conference center. All of the stars will be arriving. You got Mr. Nickelback, Chad Kroeger, and Adam Levine. We learned that they're coming, but a bunch of other folks will be there too. But then the free public event, after they've raised all their money at the gala on Friday, the free public event on Saturday, I think is a lot of people interested because you can just go down. There's no need to pay. There's no ticket. And they've got a whole sort of slate of events. Everything kind of starts around 7:30 for the main concert. And then at 10 o'clock in the evening, they got the 400 drone light show with a grand fireworks finale. So that's going on. So kind of 7:30 to 10 is sort of the big main stretch, but I'm sure a lot of people will start showing up earlier. In fact, they're saying they're going to start the street closures around 5 in the morning, I think, Steve.
Yeah, actually, they're actually starting them on Friday at 5 a.m.
So Friday at 5 a.m. Oh, I see.
Yeah, so Belleville Street from Menzies to Government will be closed from 5 a.m. Friday till noon on Sunday. On Saturday, Belleville Street between Menzies and Government will remain closed, and additional closures will be in effect along Belleville Street through Douglas Street and on Government Street between Humboldt and Superior.
So if you're planning to just drive around the Inner Harbor area this weekend, maybe don't, or try to avoid at least
luck with that.
The main stretch. Yeah, because it's going to be a hive of activity all weekend. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Inner Harbor, where do I go? Where would be a good place to see all this? Well, you might actually, if you watch CTV Vancouver Island, our simulcast of the radio show, at times we have this harbor cam shot that comes up, and we've occasionally been able to zero in on the barge itself. So they got a barge, just like the Symphony Splash would have, out in the harbor that will be where the stage is, and then there's a second barge where the fireworks will come out of. So looking at the harbor is where you want to be. So they say some of the main viewing areas include the legislature lawns. So that's a good place to go. I mean, obviously the causeway is pretty good. But you were saying earlier that if you're feeling a little far away, they're actually setting up big old LED screens along, was it Belleville Street is one of the spots, and Government Street?
On Belleville. There's two of them, actually.
Yeah.
One on each side of the Legislative Assembly lawn.
Okay.
And they've got a little map on the David Foster Foundation website. That's at davidfosterfoundation.com. And if you go to events and then click on that, you can see there's a reserved viewing area. There is all these green zones. They've got food trucks set up. They show you where the bike lockup is, and it'll help you kind of put your head around it because it's actually a map. It's really helpful because you know where you can't go, so then you can plan where you are going to go. It even shows where the road closures are, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, so great. You can see the LED screens. You can see that there's food trucks. So if you're camping out and you need some food, you don't have to go far. So the big event coming up this Saturday. Again, the main times, just one more time, the 7:30 for the main concert start, 10 o'clock for the drones and the fireworks, and all weekend long for road obstructions. One thing I was thinking about this is we just went through the snowbirds. They're also going to do a snowbirds flyover, and they're going to have apparently some F-18 Hornets flyover as well. So fighter jets and the snowbirds doing a flyover during this. So that'll be a part of it. And speaking of the snowbirds, you might have just gone through the experience of getting downtown for the snowbirds and then trying to get out of downtown with the traffic. So I guess be prepared for that as well. I bet you it's going to be another one of those weekends where there's just a lot of people coming in and then coming out of downtown Victoria, so watch for traffic. We'll take a break. 6:30 News with Steve coming up next.
This summer, 3 of Vancouver Island's biggest voices are coming together to make a real difference.
Get your tickets now for the Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50.
Brought to you by 107.3 Virgin Radio, CFAX 1070, and CTV.
In support of CFAX Santa's Anonymous all-new Kids Count program, supporting children beyond Christmas.
The Mega Summer 50-50.
Your chance to win big while giving back.
Buy your tickets today at CFAX1070.com.
Gaming event license 174660. CFAX Victoria,
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It is 6:30 on Thursday, August 6th. It's going to be just like the last few days, weather-wise, with some sunshine, a little smoke haze, and right now 14 degrees. I'll get you the full forecast in a moment. Right now the news begins, and here is Steve Young in for Lisa Best.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. Back down to just 2 active wildfires here on Vancouver Island. This week's small blaze north of Gold River has been declared out by the Wildfire Service. That leaves the 2 fires west of Campbell River, the one near Wast under control, a smaller one near Sutton Peak being held. Province-wide, there are 112 active wildfires, 10 new starts, 13 fires put out over the last 24 hours. We can expect less smoke over the southern end of Vancouver Island today, with a pretty clear morning, then some smoke rotating back into the area in the mid-afternoon before blowing out of the area overnight tonight. Environment Canada has the air quality index at 4 or moderate risk. Few dozen properties in a village in Metro Vancouver are under evacuation alert this morning due to a wildfire. The blaze burning in Belcarra Regional Park has residents from 35 properties in the village of Anmore packing essential items and ready to leave at a moment's notice. The alerts come as residents around the interior community of Boston Bar begin returning to their homes after weeks-long evacuation orders were downgraded to alerts. Fraser Valley officials say residents must stay ready to leave again as the Brunswick Creek and Ainsley Creek wildfires continue to burn out of control. WestJet's Flight Attendants Union is sharing details of that tentative deal with the airline after the one-day strike.
The WestJet component of the Canadian Union of Public Employees posted the details online on Wednesday. It says the deal includes a more than 18% wage hike over 3 years, as well as a new duty period premium that adds compensation for work done on the ground. It also includes increased time off and higher food and uniform allowances, among other things. WestJet flights across much of Canada were grounded this past weekend before 4,400 flight attendants walked off the job Sunday. Both sides reached a deal early Monday. Union members are to vote on the deal soon. Aaron Sousa, The Canadian Press.
A Victoria man who was recently extradited from Germany to face accusations of running a dark web drug trafficking ring has been sentenced to 6.5 years in prison after pleading guilty to 5 charges. RCMP say 29-year-old Isaac Oliveira Scott pled guilty last month to trafficking a controlled substance, possession for the purpose of trafficking, and 3 firearms offenses. Police say their investigation started in December of 2022 when officers learned of a group distributing illegal drugs and counterfeit pills containing fentanyl across Canada by using cryptocurrency, the dark web, and Canada Post. Oliveira Scott was arrested in February of 2024 after investigators seized stolen firearms, drugs, fraudulent ID documents, and cash from a home on the Lower Mainland. He was released and then left Canada in May of 2025 before charges were laid, resulting in a Canada-wide warrant and an Interpol red notice. He was arrested by German authorities in February and extradited back to Canada on April 1st before being sentenced in BC Supreme Court in Vancouver. Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada's support for the International Criminal Court is unequivocal as Washington vows to dismantle the institution. Carney made the remark during an unrelated news conference in Toronto yesterday.
Canada is a proud member of the International Criminal Court. We support it with funding, we support it with personnel, we support it with our values, we support it with our actions. And we will continue to do so. It provides an essential service in a world that is more dangerous, more divided. In fact, in many respects, its responsibilities are ever greater.
But Carney did not explain why his government has offered no public criticism of U.S. President Donald Trump's sanctioning of Winnipeg-born ICC Judge Kimberly Prost. Trump sanctioned Prost last August over her work on a case involving American troops in Afghanistan, a move France criticized, but so far Canada has not. And that's your news to 6:35. Today's CFAX 1070 News Poll. Do you think BC needs to call a province-wide state of emergency due to the wildfires in the southern interior? Close to a 50-50 split so far. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. It's 6:36.
Thank you, Steve. Hey, we've got more sunshine, but also more smoke haze in the forecast. 14 degrees right now. Full weather to come right now. Over to the sports, and let's talk tennis right off the top. Top-ranked Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime has withdrawn from the National Bank Open with a back injury before his first match even happened. The second-seeded Auger-Aliassime arrived in Montreal as one of the men's singles favorites, but he had felt an injury a few days before, and he says he's going to have to pull out. So he's done. That means Canada's Leylah Fernandez is the only Canadian left on either the men's or women's side. Into the third round at the National Bank Open Tennis Tournament in Toronto, the 23-year-old topped Mexico's Renata Zarazua in straight sets to advance.
It really means a lot to me to be playing at home in front of a full crowd. It was super exciting to walk on court. A little bit nerve-wracking, but happy that I was able to manage those nerves.
So that's in the tennis. In the baseball, we have the Victoria Harbour Cats done for the season, but the Nanaimo Night Owls are moving on. Let's talk Nanaimo first. They defeated Kamloops 15-8 yesterday. They also saw the Edmonton and Bellingham game go the right direction, all to help them clinch a playoff spot. And it's the first time they'll move on in the playoffs in the West Coast League in their franchise history. So that is what's happening with the Night Owls. Now, for Victoria Harbour Cats, they kind of had a bit of a, quiet end to their season. Their game last night against Wenatchee was canceled again because of wildfire smoke in Washington State. So that's the last two regular season games for the Harbour Cats got canceled on the road. They say, though, in a statement, it wouldn't have affected the outcome of the playoff seeding at all for the North Division. Wenatchee had already clinched the number one seed, and in the end, Victoria was eliminated from playoff contention. So that's it for the Harbour Cats. In Major League Baseball, Toronto Blue Jays with a win in 10 innings over Houston 5-4. Seattle Mariners down Detroit 4-2. And that is your CFAX Sports to 638. Hey, CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, the design for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. On the roads, clear as a bell right now. We have no major problems at all. Pat Bay Highway looks good. Malahat looks good. There's a bit of commuting volume starting to shape up from the West Shore into Victoria, but the only real slowdown is people just doing the construction zone speed limit for the Trans-Canada Highway through the big bus lane widening project. Once you get past there, it's just totally clear. For the weather forecast, that's interesting because we're getting slightly worse smoke, just slightly. The last couple of days, we have seen the noticeable haze at times for Greater Victoria, and Environment Canada had pegged our air quality at what they had as a 3. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is good, 10's bad. We were at a 3. We're going to bump up at times today to a 4. It's not going to stay there all day long, but we're going to see that slightly worse condition. They say that's still a level that you don't really have to go about changing your routine at all. It shouldn't affect you too much unless you're overly susceptible to smoke. That's at least the way they put it. But if you do notice it a bit heavier today, you're not wrong. I guess that's the big the big point to make there. We will see a high of 25 degrees, a little humidity in the air. It's going to be the same forecast, really, as the last couple of days. The only real difference being that slightly thicker smoke at times, just slightly. Tonight, lows down to 14 degrees, and then tomorrow looks much the same, except maybe slightly windier. And Saturday and Sunday, mix of sun and cloud and a bit cooler. Temperatures more in the 22-degree range for Saturday and Sunday. Well, the North American stock markets have just opened. Opening bells are just ringing. We don't have any results from the day yet, so let's take a look at how yesterday closed. S&P TSX is up, or was up at the end of the day, 344 to reach a new record at 36,146. The Dow up 263 to 54,349. The NASDAQ was down 221 to 26,363. And the Canadian dollar at 71.3 cents U.S.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
I got to tell you, we're busy today here on the show because we have so many things going on. We have Rushing Through a Rush song yet again. Have you caught this yet? Coming up just after the 8 o'clock news, sports, weather, and all of your information, we are going to take a random caller who will be played a Rush song at double speed as we rush through a Rush song. And if they can correctly identify what song it is, the song title, they will get 2 tickets to see Rush coming to Vancouver in December. Do you want to go see the show? You can win tickets right now. They're on sale. You can buy the tickets as we speak. But if you want a chance to win those tickets, that's coming up after 8 o'clock as we rush through a Rush song. We've also got a 4-pack of tickets to see Pacific FC on Saturday at home at Starlight Stadium. They're taking on Toronto. Still trying to find that first win of the season. I think it's going to be real exciting if we get a chance to get that win. And wouldn't you like to be there? I think that's going to be like the big moment of the whole season for Pacific FC when they get that first win. And we were talking to the coach yesterday, Steve, Terry Dunfield, who joined us on the radio. And
we're liking Terry so far.
I think he's great. I really enjoyed how you were trying to tell him a story about it was a hockey team you followed that did the same thing. They had this winless season. It was, just looking really grim, and the coach was like, "Why are you telling me this?" But then you said afterwards they turned it around. They built that character and they turned it around.
Yes. Culture's a big thing in sports these days. If you don't have the right culture in your dressing room, Canucks, see what happens.
Oh, man, yeah. No, but I'm great to talk to him. It does sound like from hearing him chat, and he was telling us some of the things he's trying to do behind the scenes to get this team moving in the right direction. And it sounds like, he's doing some stuff. He's starting to see some results. They just, have been a little unlucky the last couple of games. Will this be the one where everything finally lines up?
I was really impressed that he had the sports psychologist come in.
Yeah.
There's this old school thing that you never do stuff like that.
Right.
But we've proven over and over again that the mind is one of the key parts of performance.
Yeah.
And so to work on that and get them out of the it's a long time from February to now without winning a game.
Yeah. And what does that do to your head if you're one of the players on the field with that kind of pressure? Yeah.
That's a long time.
Well, we're also going to give away some more tickets later in the show to see Pacific FC. So we've got so much going on. You're not going to want to miss a moment. And I should also mention that just overall this summer, we've still got the Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50 going. I think sometime during the show, we might break the $13,000 mark because right now we're at $12,000, $865 for this 50-50 jackpot. Winner takes half. CFAX Santa's Anonymous and their Kids Count program, helping kids beyond Christmas. They take the other half to help do good things in the community. If you want to find out more, go to CFAX1070.com. Click on the big Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50 button. You can buy tickets online. You got to be, 19 plus, BC resident, and all those usual things when you do gaming. But get your ticket or tickets because you can get a 5-pack for $25, a 20-pack for $50, or just buy a single ticket for $10. There you go. Check it out. Because that jackpot, I bet you, hits $13,000 by the end of the show. It's time for sports, but Texter just wanted to join the conversation here about the Canucks there, Steve. You made a little quip about them. Texter says, come on, Steve, you can't make culture Canucks jokes when your team just traded away Brady.
That's true. And one of the things that came to light as a result of the trading away is that there was dressing room discontent in Ottawa as well.
Yeah?
Because after, you remember the Four Nations Cup and that fight right off the first whistle? Brady did some trash talking about Canada, and that didn't go over well in the Ottawa dressing room.
Yeah. That's another culture thing, I guess, you know? Yes, he's maybe a good player, but does he fit? Yeah.
I would have loved to kept him, but I'm a realist too, and it was just going to happen.
Thanks for joining the conversation at 7:10:10. Steve, sorry, we were in the news. I guess we should let you do the news.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I have so many roles. Rescue crews continue the search for a young hiker who became separated from his group while at Strathcona Provincial Park. Comox Valley Search and Rescue says the 25-year-old man was in the area of Paradise Meadows when he went missing on Monday. A search later that day did not turn up the man, and crews are continuing their efforts while asking for anyone who may have seen the missing person to contact the RCMP. Personnel, including those from North Shore Rescue in Metro Vancouver, have been sent in to aid with the search. BC Hydro is buying the Island Generation Power Plant in Campbell River to help strengthen electricity reliability on the island as demand continues to grow here. The natural gas facility produces 275 megawatts and is typically used during periods of peak demand, operating about 15 days a year over the past 5 years. Energy Minister Adrian Dix says the purchase supports the province's long-term plan to expand clean electricity while ensuring dependable backup power remains available. The minister will join Ryan later on in the program. This is sad. This year will be the last year that the Richmond Night Market operates in the city.
I was reading that. It's such an event, and I'm really sad to hear that, at least in its current location, it's winding up.
Yeah. It marks the end of one of North America's iconic summer events. Market founder Raymond Chung says in a statement that running the night market for the past 26 years has been the most rewarding. He says the decision comes as the market's lease ended this year. And that's your news headlines to 6:48.
I actually never made it to it. It's such a famous event, and I've just never been. And I guess if you're like me, you're running out of time until they move it somewhere else. Hopefully they move it somewhere else, I guess.
Yeah, but he's not operating it, so somebody's going to have to come up.
Yeah.
It's actually, I have never been either, but all the things, the foodie things of the pictures of various foods, it's very intriguing.
Well, and I'm a food guy, and that's one of the things I think is delightful about it is just all the crazy street food offerings you can find. At least the social media tells me that. You're right, as you scroll through your social media and you see everybody posting about the Richmond Night Market. Anyways, what's going on the show next? We're going to be talking fires. As wildfires continue to rage in BC and beyond, the Canadian Red Cross has launched a campaign aimed at supporting people in the province affected by them in the form of direct assistance and relief, along with future community preparedness efforts. We're going to be joined by the Red Cross to talk about what they're up to when it comes to wildfires next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Victoria Symphony presents Symphony in the Summer Festival, July 10th through August 9th. Details at victoriasymphony.ca. Catch all the excitement of summer baseball with the Victoria Harbour Cats. More info at harbourcats.com. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Now in season, fresh BC peaches are in. Joyfully juicy, tree ripened under the Okanagan sunshine. Picks them up today at Thrifty Foods. On the roads, the only thing I'm kind of hearing about is a lot of police activity around the Royal Jubilee Hospital area. Not sure exactly what's going on, but maybe watch out for that. Otherwise, it's looking fairly typical this morning. BC Ferries, no sailing waits. 7 o'clock sailing has lots of room left for vehicles. For the weather forecast, sunny with a little smoke haze still a thing. In fact, we might hit 4 on the air quality scale today. So getting slightly worse at times. They're still saying that's a moderate health risk. It's not enough to really change your day-to-day routine. Just if you're noticing the smoke seems a little thicker at times today, you won't be wrong. It looks like that's going to be the case. Otherwise, the weather forecast looks exactly like yesterday and the day before. Friday's very similar, except it might be a bit windier. And then Saturday, Sunday, a little bit cooler, but still warm. We'll have highs of 22 degrees. Mix of sun and cloud for Saturday, Sunday. And right now it is 14.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
As we continue to follow the wildfires across British Columbia, we have many groups that are participating and trying to help out. The Canadian Red Cross is one of them, and Vice President for BC and Yukon region with the Red Cross, Pat Quealy, is joining us on the line with more about how they're helping out. Sir, how you doing?
Good morning, Ryan. Doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So whereabouts are you actually? You physically yourself, because you're right there in the thick of it, aren't you?
Yeah, Ryan. I just got in late last night into Kelowna, and I'm on my way up to Vernon to link in with our partners in local government and First Nations.
Gotcha. And what kind of stuff are you seeing this season?
It started off relatively slow, frankly, but we've seen a lot of intensity in the last few weeks across the province. It's been incredible. We've been involved all across the various impacted areas, right from the Fraser Canyon, East Kootenays, up in Clinton, and now most recently here responding to the fires in around the Bradley Creek area in Vernon.
Yeah, so you got those. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say you got those going on. You've got a dozen properties in the Metro Vancouver area right now under evacuation alert because of the wildfires. We've got a lot of alerts, a lot of evacuations just in general. And the Red Cross is one of the organizations helping out there. How do you step in and what do you do when it comes to these situations?
Yeah, the most important thing for us to do is to integrate with community leadership and understand where the gaps are and where they need reinforcement. And that largely manifests in what we call, in this phase, relief operations, where we're looking at things that are focused on emergency support services, and that can be helping people find accommodation, any type of emergency supplies as people are displaced and may not have had time to bring all that they need, and really just integrating closely with First Nation leadership and local governments as they're doing their amazing work on the ground. We've got volunteers all across the province that do that in partnership and do a lot of preparedness work with communities in advance of this season and other types of hazards.
Now, you're launching an appeal for funds. You'd like some donations to try to help people. Talk about this effort and talk about what goals you have with this.
Absolutely. So we just launched the British Columbia Wildfires Appeal, and folks can find information on redcross.ca, or if they'd like to call in, 1-800-418-1111, and that's how folks can access the appeal. And what it's intended to do is really just help us bolster the resources as we continue this challenging time. And as I mentioned, some of the relief activities will be supported by these additional resources, but we also take a longer view and walk alongside communities for their journey of recovery. So as I'm here in Vernon this morning, we'll be learning what the long-term needs might be as people are experiencing the devastating effects of losing properties and all kinds of other impacts. And so these resources, this money really helps us do that for the longer term as well.
Now, why, this is going to be a silly question, but why do we need the Red Cross to step into these situations? Because the BC government does help if there's evacuations, if there are these situations because of fire. The government is there to help, but what aren't they doing that you need to do?
I look at it from the perspective of the unique skill set and the expertise that the Red Cross brings. We're an international organization that does relief and recovery operations and resilience building around the world. And so we look to reinforce and support all levels of government and people in their households based on those abilities. And we are often in partnership with levels of government to help them do those things. In fact, right now, at the request of the BC government, we've set up a shelter in Prince George in terms of being able to receive any folks who've been evacuated up into that area. So it's really a large system and ecosystem, and organizations like the Red Cross particularly are integral to that system. And frankly, we're relied on for our expertise to reinforce. Lots of great work being done by all kinds of folks from different organizations.
Well, as we talk about BC's wildfires and the evacuations that keep happening because of them, there you go, the Canadian Red Cross right in there along with the BC government trying to help out. And they're also launching this appeal for funding and for support as they get in there. We're talking to their Vice President for BC and Yukon, Pat Quealy. Thank you so much for joining us and talking to us today. I'll let you go because, like you said, you're on the move. You're heading to some of these locations right now, and I'll let you get back to it. But thanks for the update today.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Stay well.
All right, we'll take a quick break because we've got your 7 o'clock news coming up next. Steve Young with the top stories of the day. We then have your traffic, weather, sports, everything you need to know to get this day going. And at some point, we'll be giving away a 4-pack of tickets to see Pacific FC this weekend. And in the 8 o'clock hour, we'll be playing Rushing Through a Rush song. Your chance to win Rush tickets. It's all coming up.
CFAX Victoria,
An iHeartRadio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 7 o'clock on Thursday, August the 6th. We've got more sunshine, more smoke haze in the forecast. And right now at the Victoria International Airport, 14 degrees is the temperature. Full forecast to come right now. The news begins, and here is Steve Young.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. It's been a year now since the City of Victoria stepped up efforts to deal with disorder in the downtown core. CTV Vancouver Island's Ron Buffum looks at what has changed.
Pandora Avenue is ground zero for the homeless in Victoria. Many here battle addiction and mental illness. The city kicked in $10 million last July to address public safety, including hiring more police and bylaw officers. The mayor acknowledged the area was a blight and promised tangible improvements in half a year.
This can't wait. In 6 months, you'll see a difference.
More than a year later, many say it looks no better. The mayor acknowledges a lot of work is left to do and says the province needs to step up.
There's no doubt that the complexity of the issues that were there are taking longer than we expected, requiring more help than we expected.
Downtown stores we spoke with last year, the victims of vandalism, say nothing's improved. The Downtown Victoria Business Association welcomed the city's efforts and agrees blame for the lack of progress falls at the feet of the NDP government and a lack of funding for treatment and housing supports provincial jurisdiction.
A few dozen properties in a village in the Metro Vancouver area under evacuation alert today due to a new nearby wildfire, while evacuees in BC's Fraser Canyon may be returning home. The blaze burning in Belcarra Regional Park has prompted those from 35 properties in the village of Anmore, north of Port Moody, to pack essential items and be ready to leave at a moment's notice. The alerts come as residents in and around the interior community of Boston Bar began returning after weeks-long evacuation orders were downgraded to evacuation alerts. The Fraser Valley Regional District says residents must stay ready to leave as the Brunswick Creek and Ainsley Creek wildfires continue to burn out of control. A Victoria man who was recently extradited from Germany to face accusations of running a dark web drug trafficking ring has been sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. Authorities say 29-year-old Isaac Oliveira Scott pled guilty last month to trafficking in controlled substance, possession for the purpose of trafficking, and 3 firearms offenses. Police say the investigation began in December of 2022 when officers learned of a group distributing illegal drugs and counterfeit pills containing fentanyl across Canada by using cryptocurrency, the dark web, and Canada Post. He was arrested by German authorities this February and extradited to Canada in April. The Senate has voted to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress. The vote by the U.S. Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee comes after the former White House advisor invoked the Fifth Amendment more than 100 times in a hearing last week about the COVID-19 pandemic. Fauci refused to answer questions, saying he thinks committee chair and Republican Senator Rand Paul wants to see him behind bars and is obsessed with him. Paul accuses Fauci of covering up COVID's origins and unnecessarily closing schools. A vigil was held outside Calgary City Hall last night for an 11-year-old autistic boy who was found dead inside water pipes a week earlier. Parker's disappearance from Northside Day Home last month prompted a massive 2-week search that included blasting Disney music in hopes of drawing him out from any makeshift shelter. His parents recorded a message for the vigil.
We have a special thank you to one of the searchers, Ashley, who found one of his shoes and alerted CPS. Again, we want to thank the Calgary Fire Department. You guys risked your lives to locate your son. It was in a low oxygen environment. You went in there and you brought him home for us. We're deeply grateful for that.
Police Chief Katie McClellan told those gathered at the vigil that the search was filled with deeply human acts of kindness. Mayor Jeremy Farkas, fighting back tears, says a tragedy like this shakes the city and that Calgary is hurting together. That's news to 7:05. Today's CFAX 1070 News poll. Do you think BC needs to call a province-wide state of emergency due to the southern interior wildfires? About 58% say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. It's 7:06.
Thank you, Steve. We've got sunshine, but some smoke haze as the forecast for today. Right now, 14 degrees. Full forecast to come right now over to the sports, where in local baseball, the Victoria Harper Cats are done for the season. They won't be moving on to the playoffs, but the Nanaimo Night Owls are, and it's their first time ever in their franchise history moving on to the West Coast League playoffs. They cemented their win a couple of ways. Night Owls defeating the Kamloops North Paws yesterday 15-8, but they also had help in a different game. Edmonton dropping their final game to the Bellingham Bells also took place last night, and with that, the math worked out for the Night Owls that they'd get to move on. But for the Harbour Cats, kind of went out with a whimper because their last two games of the season were canceled because of wildfire smoke, including last night's game that would have been against the Wenatchee Apple Sox on the road in Washington State, where the air quality has been quite a bit worse. The Harper Cats say that neither of those games would have made any difference to the playoff seeding. The Harper Cats were out, and the Wenatchee Apple Sox had already clinched number one seed. So the Harper Cats end their season with a record of 26-26. In Major League Baseball, Toronto Blue Jays beating Houston 5-4 in 10 innings. Seattle Mariners defeating Detroit 4-2. And in the world of tennis, Leylah Fernandez has to carry the torch for Canada at the National Bank Open, the country's tennis championship. The native of Laval, Quebec, breezed past Mexico's Renata Zaragoza last night in the round of 64 of the women's singles tournament. Fernandez is now the only Canadian left in either the men's or the women's singles events. This after top-ranked Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime withdrew with a back injury before he even had his first match. He says he first felt the injury a few days ago when he was doing a warm-up and couldn't serve.
Well, I started having pain Monday. It was quite sudden. I was training here for 2 weeks and I had zero problems. So it happens sometimes. It's happened for me in the past, but it's just the timing is tough, right?
He says he's going to need to go for some more testing before he knows exactly what's up and how long he'll be out. That's your CFAX Sports to 7:09. Hey, CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Now in season, fresh BC peaches. Joyfully juicy, tree ripened under the Okanagan sunshine. Picks them up today at Thrifty Foods. What's going on the roads? Well, not much right now. It's looking pretty clear out there. If you see otherwise, you can text me at 71010. But yeah, the West Shore commute has been lighter than usual. And the rest of our major routes, Pat Bay Highway, Malahat, and so on, looking pretty clear. We will have the I keep saying BC Hydro. It's Fortis BC, the gas main work on Langford Parkway at Langford Lake Road. That'll be happening again throughout the day today up until 7 p.m. Watch out for periodic obstructions there. The weather forecast, we've got sunshine, little smoke haze. In fact, the air quality is now getting a little worse at times today, up to a 4 on Air Canada's scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is good and 10 is bad. 4 is what they call a moderate risk. And then for the temperatures, we're going to see the same thing again as the last few days. Highs of about 25, but feeling a little more humid with some humidity in the air, but also feeling cooler if you're by the Wandafuke Strait with the wind blowing. So that same temperature situation we've been in for the last couple of days is playing out again today. It sounds like it's the same again tomorrow with just a little extra wind, a little breezier off the Wandafuke Strait for our Friday. Saturday and Sunday, mix of sun and cloud, temperatures around about 22 degrees. Getting our first look at the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto up 30 points to start the day at 36,176, continuing in some record territory. For the Dow Jones in New York, it's down 46 to 54,302. The Nasdaq is up 54 to 26,417. Canadian dollar at 71.3 cents US.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
And Lisa's off this week. Steve is sitting in, but she's still there in spirit because she just texted me.
I know.
Yeah.
She's a big fan
of Jimothy the raccoon thing in Seattle is what she's a big fan of. She's reminding us that last night for the Seattle Mariners baseball team, they did their Jimothy night. Now, you're up on Jimothy, right, Steve?
Yes, I am.
Because this all happened while I was away on vacation, so I had to be educated about this oddly shaped raccoon.
Spine issue, yes.
It has spine issues, so it looks like, I don't know, it looks like a ball with legs and fur. And it's called Jimothy, and it's sparked an internet sensation. And last night, the Seattle Mariners did their Jimothy night.
Yes, they've had a fair amount of Jimothy selling tickets through Jimothy going on. And you know what? I checked the crowd last night at the Mariners game. I watched a little bit of it last night. There's a lot of people at Jimothy night.
Well, and they also were doing T-shirts. So if you bought a ticket, you got an exclusive Jimothy T-shirt.
There you go.
And then the thing that Lisa just texted us was they also had a cocktail. The cocktail was called the Trash Panda, and you got it in a trash can. So it looked like a municipal garbage can, you know, like the ones you wheel out to the curb for the garbage truck to come and collect. And then there was like a little raccoon tail hanging off the side of it. That was the cocktail you could get at T-Mobile Park yesterday.
Good news, though.
Okay,
There's
what's the good news?
Jimothy ticket special coming up with a different design on the T-shirt.
Oh, okay.
This is tomorrow night.
Oh, so there's still time. You could go to the second Jimothy night.
I think this is a better T-shirt. I think they took a little more time.
Okay.
Designing this one.
The second.
They've worked in the Mariners logo on it. So it's Jim, and they put the Mariners logo for the O, and then E, and then it's got a picture, like you said, of a raccoon with a ball body on it and a Mariners hat. So they've been working this. They're working this. They know their audience. And, you know, not everybody's a core baseball fan. Some people just like going out because it's a very calm, and we'll talk about this more with Jim Swanson. It's a calmer way to enjoy an evening.
I love a baseball game. The Harbor Cats put on a great evening. You're just hanging out. You got the food trucks, get a beer, enjoy the sunshine. Sometimes there's fireworks. And then there's a baseball game. Like, you don't have to be a hardcore baseball fan to enjoy a day at the ballpark. I think baseball's one of the sports amongst all, or maybe above all the others, that really puts on just a good hang, if that makes any sense. Oh, Lisa just texted again. She says a real raccoon was spotted in the rafters last night at the game. Jimothy the raccoon
was there in spirit as well.
Yeah, continuing to make the news. You just mentioned Jim Swanson. Yeah, the managing partner for both the Victoria Harper Cats and the Nanaimo Night Owls is going to be joining us on the radio in just a moment, because in local baseball, we may not have a tiny misshapen raccoon, but we do have some exciting playoff news for the Nanaimo Night Owls. They're going for the first time ever to the playoffs. For the Harper Cats, though, They got smoked out last night. They couldn't play their last game of the season, and they will not be moving on to the postseason.
So Friday, the Night Owls will be in action against Bellingham.
Okay.
Game number 1 of the series.
It's coming up fast.
So I'm sure Jim will sell you a ticket if you wish.
Well, and, you know, the Night Owl, is it the same? You know, can you get the most out of the owl as you can out of the raccoon? We'll ask him that, you know.
The other thing was, in the clinching game last night, when they played Kamloops, they were wearing the special jerseys with the Nanaimo bar on it.
Oh, good.
Remember those?
Yes.
Remember the yellow ones with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Nanaimo bar? That's the jerseys they were wearing last night.
What does that mean? You got to wear that for good luck now?
I wonder if the players had something to do with that. We'll have to ask Jim that question because sometimes the players say, hey, we do better in this uniform. Let's wear this one. So they had to win last night to clinch a spot.
Yeah.
And they went to the yellow Nanaimo bar.
That's the go-to jersey. All right. Hey, it's 7:16, time for the news. Oh, texter at 71010, Steve, though, says this. Jimothy reminds me of Danny DeVito hunched over. That's the perfect way. Imagine a raccoon Danny DeVito. If you haven't seen Jimothy, now you've got it. Texter, you've nailed it.
That was really well done.
Well done.
I'm going to giggle about that for a while.
Just to throw you off as you get into the news. But take it away. What's in the news?
Yeah, now I have to do depressing stuff. Thank you so much. Anyway, wildfire losses growing across the interior with news that structures have been damaged or destroyed on about 120 properties near Clinton. Roughly 1,500 properties remain under evacuation order because of the massive Pear Lake fire. A firefighting helicopter also crashed into a lake near Clinton, leaving the pilot with minor injuries. Near the northwestern shore of Okanagan Lake, the Bradley Creek wildfire west of Vernon destroyed 230 homes on the Okanagan Indian Band Reserve on Saturday. And this morning, a few dozen properties in the Metro Vancouver village of Anmore are under evacuation alert due to a fire burning in Belcarra Regional Park. There are still 2 active wildfires west of Campbell River, either being held or under control. Those are the only ones left here on Vancouver Island. BC Hydro buying the Island Generation Power Plant in Campbell River to help strengthen electricity reliability on the island as demand continues to grow. The natural gas facility produces 275 megawatts and is typically used during peak periods of demand, operating about 15 days per year over the last 5 years. Energy Minister Adrian Dix, who will join Ryan later in the program, says the purchase supports the province's long-term plan to expand clean electricity while ensuring dependable backup power is still in place. And the District of Oak Bay is asking homeowners to help with this year's fall deer population management program. In partnership with Herd Wildlife Management, veterinarians will administer immunocontraceptive to female deer from early September through the end of October. Because deer often move through residential areas, Oak Bay is asking property owners to allow trained wildlife staff to access private property to safely vaccinate the animals. We'll have the mayor of Oak Bay to talk about that later in the program as well. That's your news headlines at 7:18.
We're going to talk baseball with Jim Swanson. He's with both the Victoria Harbour Cats and the Nanaimo Night Owls, who will make it to the playoffs for the first time in their history. We're going to talk about it next. CFAX 1070 Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps for a comfortable home, no matter the season, and big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort, South Island's elite plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. Texter at 71010 telling me that it is 13.5 degrees in beautiful Mill Bay, a bit smoky with the sun trying to break through. Yeah, that sounds like the conditions for a lot of the South Island right now. Smoke haze in the air again today, otherwise sunny. Temperatures eventually getting to 25, but yeah, about 14 degrees-ish is what we're seeing across the board. A bit of humidity back in the air just like the last few days, but a little cooler by the water just like the last few days. Other than slightly thicker smoke today, it's a very similar forecast to what we've seen all week long, and tomorrow looks the same as well, except with maybe a bit more wind off the Juan de Fuca Strait. Cooling off just a little bit on the weekend, and a mix of sun and cloud, more on the sunny side for Saturday and Sunday in the long-range forecast as well. Right now for the traffic, not much happening really. It's smooth sailing. A little bit of a slowdown just as you go through the construction zone of the Trans-Canada Highway like normal, but it's the only thing that's really slowing up the West Shore commute. It's looking much lighter than usual. There will be again on the Langford Parkway near Langford Lake Road, the BC, or I should say Fortis BC gas main work. Watch out for periodic obstructions right up until 7 p.m. today, and that's going to be going on for a few days as well. That's your traffic. If you see anything else, text me at 71010.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
Well, for local baseball, a couple of big stories to follow. The Nanaimo Night Owls are moving on to the playoffs for the first time in their history as the Victoria Harper Cats sign off of the season. They will not be making it to the playoffs. And in fact, their final game of the season that was supposed to be on the road in Washington State against Wenatchee yesterday got smoked out. Here to talk about it all, Jim Swanson is the managing partner for the Victoria Harper Cats and Nanaimo Night Owls. So he's talking about both things. It's like a 2-for-1 deal with you, Jim Swanson.
It is. Our group operates both teams. Obviously, we have completely separate baseball operations departments, so that makes it different that way. But certainly, first of all, the smoke got us in the last two games actually with the Harbour Cats. So they ended up 2 games short of a full season, but 26-26 record, and the league is hard, Ryan. It's to be 500 and not make the playoffs shows how hard the league is. Only half the teams make the playoffs, and the Harbour Cats missed the playoffs for the first time since 2018, and first time under Todd Haney not making it. He's been done a great job for us as coach. Obviously, he's returning with us for a number more years. We got him signed until 2030, and hopefully even longer than that. He's done a great job. But great season of baseball for the Harbour Cats this year. Just that game or two short, and a lot of fun. But a lot of fun at the park, as you know. We had so many things this year: the All-Star Game and fireworks nights and all the food truck stuff and everything like that. Just had another really fun summer at the ballpark.
And I think you put a statement out about this, but I'll get you to just clarify. It sounds like even though you missed those last 2 regular season games, they would not have changed the outcome here, right? Those games wouldn't have mattered.
That's correct. We could have finished as high as 28 and 26 and still missed the playoffs. Huh. So, it would have been a hair short, but it's rare. You see, so many other leagues, you see teams that are well under the 500 mark making the playoffs, and that's just not our league. And our league is tough, and it's very competitive, and you have to be one of those top teams to make the playoffs and have a chance to win the championship. And we have been one of that team for so many years, and to just be that hair short and be so close to it is hard. But at the same time, I think it fires us all up to get going again on the recruiting, which will start right away for next year.
Now, let's talk Nanaimo Night Owls, though, because that is another storyline to follow, which is, the opposite story here. Well, the Victoria Harbour Cats are done for the season. The Night Owls move on to the playoffs. And is it true that this is the first time in franchise history this has happened?
That's correct. This is the 5th year for Nanaimo Night Owls baseball, and great coaching staff, great support staff, great host families, and everybody who's involved with it, and finally came together here this year with a 30-win season, 30-24, and included a big win last night over Kamloops to lock it down. At the same time, Edmonton also lost, so they finished 2 games back of Nanaimo and Kelowna, who finished tied for 3rd and 4th, but Nanaimo gets the 3rd spot in the playoffs in the North Division, and it's an exciting time. The stadium in Nanaimo is so much different than the one here in Victoria. It's a completely different atmosphere. That's the nature of baseball. Like, they're just so different, and a lot of fun to see the fans of Nanaimo getting really, really excited for it last night, and the players even more so. They really were fired up and excited to be able to start the playoffs that get going here on Friday with a series against Bellingham.
Now, Steve on the news desk here had a question for you. So, Steve, you were telling me that yesterday, for the last Night Owls game of the season, they were wearing a special jersey. And why don't you take it away, Steve? What's up with the Nanaimo Bar jersey?
Well, I was thinking maybe the players had some input and had a better record or something in that jersey, and that's why they wore it last night.
That's why you're a sports guy, Steve. You sniff this stuff out. Absolutely. The Nanaimo Bars jersey this year, they're undefeated in those jerseys, and the players chose them last night. And, they're a big, gaudy yellow with a big Nanaimo Bar logo on them. It's in for a penny, in for a pound with those jerseys for sure. And they played very well in them last night, and that's exactly the case. We usually wear the Nanaimo Bars jersey on day games because they were the Nanaimo Night Owls. We wear Night Owls jerseys at night. But last night we broke out the yellow Bars jerseys, and they were the good luck jersey for win number 30, the first time reaching 30 wins for this team in a season, and first time clinching a playoff spot. It did the trick, and you know what? Makes me wonder what the players and coaches are going to decide to do on Friday night. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the Nanaimo Bars jerseys pulled out and used on Friday night when Game 1 of this series starts at Sir Roxman Stadium in Nanaimo against the Bellingham Bells. I'm not going to be surprised at all. Great question.
Now, I know this is difficult for organizations in sports, especially junior hockey and, in your case, baseball, when you can't do pre-sale for a game that you don't know is going to happen until last night. So it makes selling tickets really a challenge because you've got no time to do it. So tell people how they can get a ticket, how they can get in and see that historic first game.
Yeah, Tina Cornett, our general manager, and our staff there have got it ready to go. The tickets should be on sale by about noon today through NanaimonightOwls.com and directly through our website. Don't just Google Night Owls tickets, but go to NanaimonightOwls.com and get the tickets through our Show Pass official ticketing site. That is the ticketing partner that does the work for us. And the Show Pass is ready to go. Tina and the people in Nanaimo are ready to go. And I'll tell you what, the fans of Nanaimo are ready to go. People were asking the questions last night, how do we get them? And, of course, there's a process because there's season ticket holders and corporate partners that get their tickets all secured. And those things are getting done last night and into this morning, and they'll be ready for noon. And watch the social media sites for the Nanaimo Night Owls, the website for the Night Owls, and there'll be a chance for people to do it. And I think there's going to be some people from Victoria that'll be excited to go up and see the atmosphere of the playoffs. It's just fun in the playoffs. Everybody knows playoffs are different. It's like the Blue Jays going to the World Series last year. It's one thing to go to a game in May. It's another thing to go to a game in October. And it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're not going to be at all surprised to see the tickets snapped up within a matter of hours, Steve, because people have really been thirsting for a team to just get over the hump. The Night Owls have barely missed the playoffs a couple of times in those 5 years, and been really, really tight up to the last couple of days of the season. And this year, had it in their control going into the last series, and took care of business and won 2 out of 3 games against Kamloops and locked it down. So the tickets, NanaimonightOwls.com, will be available through there. And again, I'm expecting before noon here today is when they'll be ready, but noon would be the target time for that. I appreciate that question.
Nanaimo, you were due for a playoff run, and you got one with the Night Owls moving on Friday, the first game. Jim Swanson, managing partner with both Night Owls and Victoria Harbour Cats teams. Great to talk to you. I'm sure we'll be talking again as this playoff run continues, so looking forward to it. But in the meantime, have a wonderful day, and good luck on Friday.
Sounds good. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, there we go. And I just Google searched the Nanaimo Night Owls Nanaimo Bar jersey with the cartoon Nanaimo Bar. It's got a face. It's got a little swoop of hair. It looks so happy. And you could buy the Nanaimo Bar jersey I was just looking at on the website. So
are you sold?
I kind of want one. It's cool. It's no Jimothy, but it's got the same kind of vibe.
It does.
Yeah. All right. Hey, 7:30 News is next.
This summer, 3 of Vancouver Island's biggest voices are coming together to make a real difference.
Get your tickets now for the Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50.
Brought to you by 107.3 Virgin Radio, CFAX 1070, and CTV.
In support of CFAX Santa's Anonymous all-new Kids Count program, supporting children beyond Christmas.
The Mega Summer 50-50.
Your chance to win big while giving back.
Buy your tickets today at CFAX1070.com.
Gaming event license 174660. CFAX Victoria,
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Hey, good morning. It is 7:32 on Thursday, August 6th. It's a day much like the last few. We got sunshine, we got warm temperatures, but some smoke haze, maybe even a little thicker today. Full forecast to come. Right now, though, we get news, and here is Steve Young.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. Rescue crews from both the island and the mainland still searching for that young hiker in Strathcona Provincial Park.
Well, crews from the Lions Bay Search and Rescue Team are on Vancouver Island as they help search for a missing 25-year-old hiker. Keshav Jindal went missing Monday after being separated from his group while hiking Mount Albert Edward in Strathcona Provincial Park. Anyone who was in the area and may have seen him are asked to contact RCMP.
It's been 1 year since the City of Victoria stepped up efforts to deal with downtown disorder. CTV Vancouver Island's Rob Buffum looks at what's changed for the business community, starting with Jeff Bray of the Downtown Business Association.
The province is not providing the services that clearly these individuals so desperately need. And until the province steps up and starts providing significant services, we're not going to see any real improvement.
The province tells CTV in a statement, "We will continue to work with our partners to improve access to mental health and addictions care for people so that people can access the right level of care based on their individual needs at the right time. For those working in downtown Victoria, and especially those living on its streets, that help is more than 6 months overdue."
A new report says human-induced climate change made the conditions that fueled July's wildfires in Ontario and the Northwest Territories roughly twice as likely.
Early estimates suggest this is the worst wildfire season on record in Ontario and in the Territories' top 10. In the World Weather Attribution Report, an international team of scientists says what used to be rare fire conditions are now more likely today due to climate change driven by the burning of fossil fuels. Early observations indicate the hot, dry, and windy conditions underlying fires in the Northwest Territories could now be expected to occur every 2 to 6 years. And every 6 to 15 years in Ontario. The report suggests that in a world without human-caused climate change, those conditions would have been present less than once in 40 years. Karen Rebo, The Canadian Press.
Sanders police asking for witnesses and dashcam footage after a cyclist was seriously injured in a collision. Police say they were called just before 5:30 p.m. on July 27th after BC Emergency Health Services responded to an injured cyclist at the intersection of Parkside Crescent and Winchester Road. Paramedics told investigators they believe the cyclist may have been struck by a vehicle that left the scene before first responders arrived. The cyclist was taken to hospital with serious injuries that are not considered to be life-threatening. That's your news to 7:35. Today's CFAX 1070 News Poll. Do you think BC needs to call a province-wide state of emergency due to the wildfires in the southern interior? About 45% of you say, yeah, we should, or I should say, no, we shouldn't. About 55% say, yes, we should. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. It's 7:37.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Air quality just slightly worse today. Air Canada, I keep saying Air Canada. Environment Canada with their air quality index. That's the problem there. We're going to be at a 4 at times today. We were at a 3 on the scale of 1 to 10. We're moving up to a 4 at times as the smoke in the air might be a little bit more noticeable today. We have otherwise sunny skies, and right now it's 14 degrees. I'll get to that full forecast in a moment. Right now, over to the sports. We're just talking to Jim Swanson, who's with both the Victoria Harbour Cats and the Nanaimo Night Owls, talking about their big excitement in Nanaimo as the Night Owls move on for the first time in franchise history to the playoffs. They beat Kamloops, the North Paws, 15-8 yesterday to kind of clinch that win. They also had some help when the Edmonton Riverhawks lost to the Bellingham Bells, so there was a lot of math going on on the table around them that helped get them there. So there we go. Friday night will be the first game ever in the playoffs for the Nanaimo Night Owls. The Victoria Harbour Cats, though, they are out for the season. They actually didn't even play their last couple of regular season games. They were smoked out both last night and the night before in Washington State, where they were supposed to play against Wenatchee. But as Jim Swanson was just telling us, it wouldn't have changed the standings at all. They still wouldn't have made the playoffs. So that's it for the Victoria Harbour Cats. In the majors, Jimothy night last night. The Seattle Mariners celebrating the deformed raccoon of Seattle with T-shirts and special cocktails and a big night. And Mariners also got a win out of it, beating Detroit 4-2. Toronto Blue Jays defeating Houston 5-4 in 10 innings as well in your baseball. For the tennis scene, Leylah Fernandez is now the only Canadian left at the National Bank Open, the country's big tennis championship. The native of Laval, Quebec, breezed past Mexico's Renata Zarazusa last night in the round of 64 of the women's tournament in Toronto. But yeah, she's the only Canadian left after top-ranked Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime withdrew because of a back injury before he even played a game. Yeah, so it's all up to Fernandez.
It really means a lot to me to be playing at home in front of a full crowd. It was super exciting to walk on court. A little bit nerve-wracking, but happy that I was able to manage those nerves.
That's your CFAX Sports to 7:39. CFAX at 70 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show brought to you by QP BC. QP Vancouver Island workers delivering the public services island communities rely on. QP, better services, better communities. On the roads, no major issues right now. If you see a crash, accident, or something else causing trouble, text me at 71010. But right now, yeah, other than just road work in places like Langford Parkway, it's going to be on until 7 p.m. Fortis BC water work. Fortis BC gas main work going on there. It's going to be going on for days, too. We also have, the West Shore commute sort of thickening up a little bit on the Trans-Canada Highway, seeing a bit more traffic volume. The Souk Road Island Highway route seems to be a little clearer so far this morning. For BC Ferries, no sailing waits. 8 o'clock sailing is coming up, and it's about 85% full. For the weather forecast, it looks exactly the same as the last few days. Sunny with some smoke haze. We've got temperatures to 25 degrees, but feeling warmer in the humidity. Feeling cooler if you're by the water, where it's going to be breezy. And that smoke haze slightly thicker at times today, with the air quality bumping up a little worse, up to a 4 on the index scale, where 1 is good, 10 is bad. We were at a 3 for the last few days. Now we're moving up to a 4. Over to the markets. S&P TSX in Toronto up 80 points to 36,227. The Dow is down 78 to 54,270. The Nasdaq up 109 to 26,472. Canadian dollar at 71.3 cents US.
Get started. Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
We're getting close to another edition of Rushing Through a Rush song. This is where you could win tickets to see Rush bringing their tour to Vancouver in December. There's a couple of shows. We got tickets to the December 15th show. But if you want to win just after the 8 o'clock news, sports, weather, and all that, you got to give us a call. And I'll pick a random line. And if you're the lucky caller, I will play for you a Rush song played at double speed as we rush through it. And if you can tell me the name of the song, even through all the sped up nature, you'll get the tickets. So get ready to call just after 8 o'clock, 250-386-1161. So that is coming up. But I've got a request here. We have a texter saying, hey, is there any chance you could go through the information you provided earlier in the show about the David Foster show? I just turned on the radio and only caught the tail end. Yeah, we were just kind of going through some of the details. If you're like me, you don't think about the weekend until you get close to it. And, we've known about the Foster Foundation big free show in the Inner Harbor for months now. But it's only now that I'm kind of like, I should probably make a plan about how I'm going to go down and check it out, get the family down and see things like that. So if you're like me, this is the time where you're starting to think about the logistics. So here's what we know. Friday morning, they're going to close several of the streets around the Inner Harbor, first off. So that's when things kind of kick off as far as disruption. So you can't really drive freely around the Inner Harbor as a Friday morning. Friday is when the gala happens. That's not the thing that's open to the public unless you got the tickets. All the celebrities will be arriving at the conference center. Big red carpet event. So that's going on Friday. And that's where the big fundraising is happening because, of course, this is all for the Foster Foundation. It's a big fundraiser. The last big one they plan to do in Victoria, at least as a money-raising event. So the gala is the big money part of it. Then on Saturday, that is where you can just go free of charge down in the Inner Harbor and check things out. So what's the schedule there? We know that at 7:30, that is when the musical portion is going to kick off on that barge in the Inner Harbor. So imagine the Symphony Splash days, what those were like, where you try to get a spot along the causeway or the legislature lawn, or the street over by the Empress. Those are all prime viewing spots with things starting at 7:30. They'll have a couple of big screens set up, we've learned. A couple by the BC Legislature lawn. There's another one over by the Empress. Big LED screens, so if you're not that close, you'll still be able to get like a real close-up view from the screens, and you'll be able to just hear it in the atmosphere. They're going to have food trucks lined up kind of where the BC Museum is, that street there. That's where the food trucks are going to go. That is how things will be from about 7:30 onwards. Then at 10, that is when they're going to bring in the big drone show. They got like hundreds of drones that are going to be doing formations and Have you ever seen one of these things? They're crazy what the drones can do, followed by fireworks. They have a second barge that they're setting up. So there's the main stage barge, and then there's another barge that's going to be launching the fireworks just after the drone show as well. So that's kind of what's going on. That's the schedule of events. They've got a big map they've put out. If you go to the David Foster Foundation website, they've got a map that shows you what the Harper will look like, where the different zones will be, where the screens will be, and it can kind of help you plan your trip if you're planning to go down on Saturday night. Hope that helps, Texter. There's the info we've got so far, and I'm sure we'll continue to develop that story as we get closer to the weekend. Right now it's 7:46. Let's get to the headlines with Steve.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. Central Saanich Police and other local agencies investigating after receiving reports that an individual may be attempting to lure people closer to his vehicle by asking for directions or offering a ride. It may be associated with a white, older model two-door vehicle with a roof rack driven by a South Asian male. While no connection has been confirmed, Central Saanich Police are investigating and sharing the information so residents can take appropriate precautions and report any suspicious activity. Members of the public are advised not to approach the vehicle or get close to the driver. If you are approached, maintain a safe distance, decline any offer, move to a populated area if necessary, and contact police as soon as it's safe to do so. Rescue crews continue the search for a young hiker after he became separated from his group while at Strathcona Provincial Park. Comox Valley Search and Rescue says the 25-year-old man was in the area of Paradise Meadows when he went missing on Monday. A search later that day did not turn up the man, and crews are continuing their efforts while asking for anyone who may have seen the missing person to contact RCMP. Personnel, including those from North Shore Rescue and Metro Vancouver, have been sent to aid in the search. This year will be the last year that the Richmond Night Market operates in that city, marking the end of one of North America's iconic summer events. Market founder Raymond Chung says in a statement that running the market for the last 26 years has been the most rewarding. He says the decision comes as the market's lease ends this year. And that's your news headlines to 7:47.
Well, the deer contraceptives are being rolled out again in Oak Bay as they try to get the population of deer under control there. And Oak Bay asking permission to enter some local properties for the purpose of administering the deer contraceptives. Mayor Kevin Murdoch of Oak Bay joining us in just a moment to talk about the program and what they need to do to make it happen.
Next time on the TED Radio Hour.
Writer Pico Iyer has traveled the globe trying to understand what utopia means to different people. And he has come to one conclusion.
Sometimes it's notions of paradise that get in the way of our finding it.
Paradise Lost and Found. Stories about searching for utopia and coming to terms with reality. That's next time on the TED Radio Hour from NPR.
TED Radio Hour. Listen Sundays on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Hey, CFAX traffic and weather time. It's 7:50 and the roads are looking fairly clear right now. If you have a crash or other incident like that to let me know about, text me at 71010. The Fortis BC work on Langford Parkway continues. Watch out for obstructions at times. Road closures on Yates Street, downtown Victoria between Quadra and Cook. Watch out for those obstructions through the day today as well. And for the ferries, no sailing waits. Things are looking good. For the weather, mostly sunny with the smoke haze still here. We'll see highs of 25, little warmer feeling in the humidity, but then cooler if you're by the Wanda-Fuca Strait. To tell you the truth, that's the same forecast as the last few days. So if you've lived through the last few days, just expect that again. For tomorrow, same again, but a little windier. For the weekend, cooling off just a couple of degrees, but otherwise a mostly sunny weekend, Saturday and Sunday, with temperatures around about 22 degrees is the high. Overnight lows for the next few nights going down between 13 and 14 degrees.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, if you're a gardener in Oak Bay, you know there's still a lot of deer out there. And Oak Bay is once again embarking on a deer contraceptive program. But with that, they need a little bit of help. They need permission to enter some local properties to ramp up their deer contraceptive program. Let's find out more about this. Kevin Murdoch is the mayor of Oak Bay, and he's on the line with us right now. Sir, how you doing?
I'm great, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
How are you finding that the deer are, just as much as they've always been? Are there more of them? Are any of these contraceptive programs starting to curb the numbers? What's the state of the deer right now?
Yeah, well, actually, this is the big year for us.
Okay.
For the last decade, essentially, we have been working with the province under their rules to under what has been considered an experimental program through the province to see if immunocontraception can work. So it's been a very limited number of deer, a lot of deer tags. Some of them are control groups. Some of them have had one dose of contraception. Some of them have had boosters. And so there's a lot of deer walking around with tags. A lot of them have fawns, but very few of them have actually had meaningful application of immunocontraception. But what that program gave us was all the data required for the province to approve immunocontraception as a viable, in production, ongoing program. So we're going to be the first community in British Columbia to be doing this under this program. And we are now freed up to actually go out there and apply immunocontraception more broadly to deer across the community. So this is very exciting for us because this is actually our first chance to meaningfully impact the deer population. Until now, it's been work done really to prove the concept. This is and as a result of that, we need access to a lot more deer. And as a result of that, we're asking for people to give us access to their backyards so that the veterinarians can go where the deer are and apply the contraception.
And how does that work? Do people actually need to sign up and give permission in some way? How do property owners give that permission?
The easiest way is just to go to our website, oakbay.ca and /deer. So it's as short as we could possibly make it. So oakbay.ca/deer, and you can sign up there. We've got we put out an RFP, got a veterinarian to lead this program. They're doing all the permitting, and their team of veterinarians will be going into various areas to apply the immunocontraception. But yeah, the simplest way is just to sign up through the website.
And let's talk about the goals here, because you mentioned that this is the big one. Everything else has been study. This is Oak Bay really making an effort now to try to curb that deer population. Is the goal to hit all the deer with the contraceptives, or is there like a percentage, or what's the ambition here?
Well, I guess the goal is always all. I think realistically we have a target of around 55 deer is what we think we can probably get to in the window that we have available to us. If we have access to the deer. So that's probably about, that's the majority of the female population, we think, but probably not all of them. But yeah, the idea being we try and get as many needles into as many rumps of as many does as we possibly can in the window that we have available.
And so with any luck, you'll get most of them. And then is the idea that this is really, by next year, maybe we see less deer? Or, when do you start to see the results of this? If you are, say a gardener in Oak Bay and you're wondering when they're going to stop munching on your plants.
Sure. Well, obviously the bucks and the does that are here now are not getting killed in this process. So it's really stopping new new fawns from being born. But that's a pretty substantial portion of the refresh. This is probably a bit shocking, but we on average over the last number of years have our public works if a deer gets hit by a car or dies in someone's garden, our public works typically is called to go pick them up. Not always. Sometimes people just deal with it themselves. But we've averaged around 65 or 70 deer a year.
Wow.
That we've had to pick up off the road. So,
I had no idea. I knew that was an issue. I didn't know it was that high of a number.
Yeah, so there's a fairly, unfortunately, a very sort of not very kind way of culling deer in our community, which is they get impaled on fences and hit by cars and so forth. So we think that by stopping the birthing, that will have a pretty substantial impact on the number of deer visible in the community, probably fairly quickly. But the reality is we don't really know for sure. And of course, we did ask other neighboring municipalities if they're interested in year one of this program. And they sort of opted to wait and see how this goes. But we do think that it will be more effective if we can prove effectiveness, that Victoria and Saanich, Esquimalt, et cetera, would probably like to come on board because we think this is a fairly cost-effective way of managing the population.
And you bring up the neighboring municipalities. And I have a text message here at 71010, which is a bit of a joke, but kind of alludes to that. It says, hey, tell the Oak Bay Mayor that we'll send our deer at Ross Bay Cemetery over your way. Because, the deer don't, obey municipal boundaries. Even if you're giving them the contraceptives in Oak Bay, what is that to stop deer from the other municipalities from wandering across the border? I guess you kind of eventually would need everybody to get on board with this, or at least a lot of municipalities to get on board to curb the regional population.
Yeah, we're not going to affect the population in Saanich or Victoria, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. One of the findings that we had, because one of the parts of the study that we did with the province was looking at the way deer move. And while the bucks roam all over the place, the does are actually fairly central. They'll still roam within a few block radius, maybe 2 or 3 blocks, but they don't go a long, long way. And so actually we think this is going to be fairly effective in Oak Bay just because we're affecting the new deer being born in Oak Bay. And so I know some will still come across. There'll be if the population goes down, they'll be seen as a good place to go get food if there's no other deer around. But we don't think it's going to be not worth it, I guess is probably the best way of putting that. And our hope is also, I think, if we can demonstrate effectiveness here, the province has suspended their financial support for deer management this year, unfortunately. They have been supportive over the last number of years, which we're appreciative of. So we're hoping that, again, if we can demonstrate effectiveness, that the province will unfreeze those funds and help us out with an ongoing deer management program.
We're talking to the mayor of Oak Bay, Kevin Murdoch. They're about to embark on the big one. It's the big year where they're really going for it with the deer contraceptive program after a few years of study. But one thing you need, we'll just say this again, is permission to enter private properties as you give the contraceptive, because the deer are going to be all over the place, including private properties. So one more time, what do people need to know to do that? And what happens if not enough people sign up and give permission?
That's not going to happen, Ryan. We're going to have lots of people. It is still a substantial issue for a lot of people in Oak Bay. I will say that. I think this is very helpful to get the word out. Interestingly, when we did a cull a number of years ago, we had an overwhelming response of people asking, and so we're hoping for the same thing again. It doesn't mean we'll necessarily make it to your backyard, but if you have deer around you, please go to oakbay.ca/deer and just fill in the consent form, and then the veterinary teams will reach out and try and schedule a time and a place that works and get there. And the really helpful thing here is that most people know their local deer. They have a good sense of when the deer are around in their yard, time of day, those kinds of things. And so all that local information is incredibly helpful for us. So they don't have to show up and wait. They can kind of show up at the right time, get set up, apply the community contraception, and move on to the next. And in that way, we'll get the maximum number of deer. So yes, anybody who has deer hanging around the yard, even if you like the deer a little bit, this does not hurt them, but it does help keep their population in check. And I think most people, even the people who really want deer in the community, I think want healthy deer. And what we're seeing right now is that we're getting a lot of less healthy deer happening because the population is getting so large.
All right, Mayor Murdoch, good luck with this, and let's stay in touch. I'd love to hear how it goes.
Yeah, I'm very curious too, Ryan, for sure. So looking forward to seeing the results.
Oh, very good. We'll chat soon.
Okay, take care.
All right, there we go. Yeah, we'll keep up on the deer, but we'll also keep up on Rush tickets. We're giving away Rush tickets coming to Vancouver in December, but you gotta correctly identify a song that we rush through. We're going to play a Rush song at double speed coming up just after the 8 o'clock news. If you want to try to correctly identify it and win tickets, get ready to call us at 250-386-1161.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:02 on Thursday, August the 6th. We've got a little smoke again in the air, a little haze. Right now it's 14 degrees in Victoria. Correct that. It's 17 degrees in Victoria. It's been going up fast. We're going to have another warm day and a full forecast to come. But right now, the news begins. Here's Steve.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. We're back down to just 2 active wildfires on Vancouver Island. This week's small blaze north of Gold River declared out by the Wildfire Service. That leaves the 2 fires west of Campbell River. The one near Was is under control, a smaller one near Sutton Peak being held. Province-wide, there are 112 active wildfires, 10 new starts, 13 fires put out over the last 24 hours. We can expect less smoke over the southern end of the island today with a pretty clear morning, especially after 10 o'clock. Then smoke's going to rotate back into the area mid-afternoon before blowing out of the area overnight. Environment Canada has the air quality index at 4 or moderate risk. Central Saanich Police and other local agencies are investigating after receiving reports that an individual may be attempting to lure people closer to his vehicle by asking for directions or offering a ride. It may be associated with a white older model 2-door vehicle with a roof rack driven by a South Asian male. While no connection's been confirmed, Central Saanich Police are investigating and sharing the information so residents can take appropriate precautions and report any suspicious activity. It's been a year now since the City of Victoria stepped up its efforts to deal with downtown disorder. CTV Vancouver Island's Rob Buffum looks at what's changed so far.
Pandora Avenue is ground zero for the homeless in Victoria. Many here battle addiction and mental illness. The city kicked in $10 million last July to address public safety, including hiring more police and bylaw officers. The mayor acknowledged the area was a blight and promised tangible improvements in half a year.
This can't wait. In 6 months, you'll see a difference.
More than a year later, many say it looks no better. The mayor acknowledges a lot of work is left to do and says the province needs to step up.
There's no doubt that the complexity of the issues that were there are taking longer than we expected, requiring more help than we expected.
Downtown stores we spoke with last year, the victims of vandalism, say nothing's improved. The Downtown Victoria Business Association welcomed the city's efforts and agrees Blame for the lack of progress falls at the feet of the NDP government and a lack of funding for treatment and housing supports provincial jurisdiction.
Mount East and Campbell River releasing an update on a search warrant executed back on July the 9th. Major Crime and Police Dog Services executed a search warrant in the 500 block of South Alder Street and seized cocaine, crack cocaine, marijuana, and over 77 grand in cash. A 62-year-old man and 58-year-old woman, also both from Campbell River, were arrested and released. They'll appear in court in October. And the Senate Homeland Security Committee has voted to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress and referred him for potential prosecution over his refusal to answer questions about his handling of the pandemic.
The vote passed along party lines after Fauci invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination more than 100 times when he testified before the committee last week about his role leading the country's response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We are voting on whether a witness who has received the benefit of a sweeping federal pardon can be ordered by this committee to answer questions and then defy that order without consequence.
Democrats attempted to table the vote several times, but were unsuccessful. Peter Haralambous, ABC News.
That's your news, day 8:06. Today's CFAX 1070 News poll. Do you think BC needs to call a province-wide state of emergency due to the southern interior wildfires? Well, 58% saying yes, we should. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. It's 8:07.
Thank you, Steve. We're moments away from rushing through a Rush song. Would you like to win Rush tickets? We're going to play you a sped-up Rush song. If you can tell me the name of the song, despite the speeding up, you'll get tickets to see Rush coming to Vancouver December 15th. They got two shows, but we got tickets to the December 15th show. 250-386-1161 is the number to call in just a few minutes. Once we get to this is just after we get through some sports. We got the traffic and weather and all that too, and then we'll play the game. But right now, let's get to the sports, where in baseball, a couple of local stories for you. One local Vancouver Island baseball team will move on to the postseason for the first time in its history. Another one is done for the year without getting to the playoffs. Let's start with the Nanaimo Night Owls, who defeated the Kamloops North Paws 15-8 while wearing their yellow Nanaimo Bar jerseys for good luck. So with that win and with another result elsewhere in the league, they were able to clinch for the first time in franchise history a trip to the playoffs, which will begin Friday. It's going to be real soon, so we'll follow there. The Victoria Harbour Cats, though, said goodbye to the season without anything happening because they were smoked out yesterday against the Wenatchee Apple Sox in Washington State. They were smoked out the day before, so they missed their last two games of the year. But as Jim Swanson from the Harbour Cats told us last hour, it wouldn't have affected the standings at all. Those two games wouldn't have mattered. Wenatchee would still have clinched the number one seed. Victoria still wouldn't have had enough points to get into playoff contention. So that's the local baseball scene. For the majors, Toronto Blue Jays look to build on last night's 5-4 extra inning win over Houston when they make a one-day stop in Chicago to face the Cubs this afternoon. This is a makeup game after an earlier meeting between the two teams was postponed by rain. Tennis continues today at the National Bank Open in Montreal, with third-seeded Australia's Alex de Minaur facing Britain's Cameron Norrie. De Minaur is the highest remaining seed after the top seed Alexander Zverev was upset, and second-seeded Felix Auger-Aliassime withdrew with an injury. And by the way, with that, that means the only Canadian left in this whole thing is Canada's Leila Fernandez. The 23-year-old topped Mexico's Renata Zarazuza in straight sets to advance.
It really means a lot to me to be playing at home in front of a full crowd. It was super exciting to walk on court. A little bit nerve-wracking, but happy that I was able to manage those nerves.
Yeah, no Canadians left in the men's or women's bracket other than Fernandez. That is your CFAX Sports. It's 8:10. We're going to be playing Rushing Through a Rush song next. CFAX traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show is brought to you by Thrifty Foods, because now, in season, it's fresh BC peaches. Joyfully juicy, tree ripened under the Okanagan sunshine. Pick some up today at Thrifty Foods. Traffic and weather looking pretty typical. No major crashes or incidents like that to report. If you see otherwise, though, do text me at 71010. Yeah, but things look fairly clear today other than the Fortis BC work. Langford Parkway, watch out for obstructions right up until 7 p.m. And that's going to be ongoing for days ahead of us, too. For the BC ferries, no sailing waits right now. And for the weather, slightly smokier skies today. Still kind of that haze overhead. A air quality index rating of 4 today. It was 3 yesterday, so we're just slightly worse. If you notice a bit more smoke in the air, you're not wrong. But otherwise, it's the same story. All week, it's been kind of the same weather. We got sunny skies other than the haze. Highs at 25. A little bit of humidity making it feel warmer, but a little cooler by the windy water. And tomorrow looks the same, except maybe a little windier off the Juan de Fuca Strait. Saturday and Sunday, cool off a little bit. Highs of 22 with a mix of sun and cloud. On the markets, S&P TSX up just 20 points right now. The Dow in New York is down 171. The Canadian dollar at 71.3 cents US.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Yes, we are rushing through a Rush song. It's because Rush is bringing their 50-something tour to the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, December 15th and 17th. And CFAX 1070 wants to send you to the December 15th show with this game, Rushing Through a Rush song. I think, if you've been listening, you know how this works now. We're going to play a fast Rush song. It's going to be sped up, double time. And if you can still guess what the name is or just identify the song, you're going to get the tickets. Now, I'm just taking random callers, so let's do it now. 250-386-1161. Call in. I'm going to pick a random line.
You have to have sensitive ears for this, okay?
Yeah.
Because, yes, it's very chipmunkish.
Who's this on the line?
Tim.
Did you say Tim?
Yes.
Tim. Are you a Rush fan?
Yeah.
Yeah? Would you want to go to see Rush December 15th in Vancouver?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah?
Why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're close, but you're not quite there yet because you got to play the game. You know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm going to play it for you. See what you can do with this. This doesn't get old. I can give you a few more moments, Tim. Hang on. Well, Tim, any guesses?
It's right on the tip of my tongue, but I can't.
Okay, hang on. One more second. Okay, Tim, one last chance. Do you want to just take a wild guess?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Tim, but thanks for playing. You can try again tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay, that means, oh my gosh, that means somebody else is going to get a chance.
Wow, we're going to a second one.
Second contestant. Who's this?
Overtime.
Yeah,
Good morning, it's Anna.
Anna, hello, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Well, you're our second random caller today.
I can't believe it.
Well, congratulations for getting this far, but I can't give you the tickets yet because you gotta listen to this and tell me what Rush song is it. Every time I play this, Steve just breaks out laughing.
It's the guitar riff, right?
All right, do you need more or you got it?
No, I'm pretty sure I know this one is Limelight.
Yes, that is correct. Woo! You get the tickets. We're going to give you the sound effect. Here we go. Did you say your name was Anna?
Yes.
Anna, congratulations. You're going to the December 15th show of Rush. That's amazing. Are you a big Rush fan?
Oh, yeah. And my husband is too, so it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, so both of you are going to go, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes I like to ask who you're going to bring, and sometimes people make it a competition. You know, like I haven't decided yet. You gotta earn the favor here. But you got the husband locked in.
True. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. That would be only fair.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I'm so glad you got in. I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to talk to you off the air, and we'll get some information and get you your tickets. But thank you so much for playing.
Super.
Okay, there we go. Wow, overtime round there, Steve.
Yes, and then the riff twice.
Yeah.
The sped up riff might be more interesting to my eardrums than Getty sped up.
Yeah, the guitar and the drums sounds pretty cool, and then you get the chipmunk voice, and yeah, what are we going to speed up tomorrow? Because we got one more round of rushing through a Rush song tomorrow. Because we got one more pair of tickets. We'll see what we come up with then. You don't want to miss it, or maybe you do. I don't know. Hopefully, people are okay with the sped up Rush songs. True fans might be grimacing. But, anyways, Steve, it's news time. What's going on?
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. A few dozen properties in a village in Metro Vancouver under evacuation alert due to a nearby wildfire. The blaze is burning in Belcarra Regional Park. It has prompted those from 35 properties in the village of Anmore, north of Port Moody, to pack their essential items and be ready to leave at a moment's notice. The BC Labour Relations Board has rejected a bid by Amazon to stop binding arbitration on the e-commerce giant's collective bargaining talks with workers at their facility in Delta. The board's decision this week says Amazon and Unifor, which represents the workers, will have 7 days to agree on an arbitrator before the board appoints one. Arbitration was recommended and accepted by the union, but rejected by Amazon. A Victorian man who was recently extradited from Germany to face accusations of running a dark web drug trafficking ring has been sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. Mounties say 29-year-old Isaac Oliveira Scott pled guilty last month to trafficking in a controlled substance, possession for the purpose of trafficking, and 3 firearms offenses. And that's your news to 8:18.
Whether it's siding, gutters, or decking, ProTech Exterior Products has it all. Visit beahomepro.com to find out more.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. On the roads, no crashes or major incidents to report, although if you see something, you can text me at 71010. Everything's looking pretty typical out there for the morning commute. Watch out for a closure of Yates Street between Vancouver and Cook for ongoing construction. That's closed right up until 5 today as a downtown spot to watch for. And then as of tomorrow, this isn't today, but as of tomorrow, they're going to start locking down some of the Inner Harbor streets, like Belleville and bits of government there right in front of the Inner Harbor because of the Foster Foundation Gala on Friday and the big free concert in the Inner Harbor on Saturday. But yeah, road closures will start as of tomorrow, not today. For the weather forecast, a bit of smoke in the air again today. Otherwise, it is a very similar forecast to the whole week. Sunshine, temperatures around about the mid-20s. Feeling warmer in the humidity, but feeling cooler by the water with some wind blowing off the Juan de Fuca Strait. Clear skies tonight, lows to 14. Tomorrow, it's the same again, except maybe a bit windier off the Juan de Fuca Strait. Then Saturday and Sunday, as we head into the weekend, looking like a mix of sun and cloud with temperatures into the 22-degree range both days and overnight lows around about 13.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, Steve, we've had a lot of sports to talk about this day because we were talking to Jim Swanson from the Harbor Cats about the Nanaimo Night Owls moving on to the playoffs. Well, another team we're following closely in a different sport completely is the Shamrocks lacrosse team because they have already started their playoffs with the big win over Nanaimo a couple of days ago. They got another one coming up tonight, so we wanted to reach out to the Shamrocks and get a sense of how things are going there. So let's do it. Let's get Chris Welsh, General Manager of the Shamrocks, on the line right now. Sir, how you doing?
Good morning, guys.
Good to have you back with us. Nice win on Tuesday night to kick things off.
Yeah, it was an ideal start for us. The guys really came out flying, and we kind of put it away early with a 7-goal burst in the first period alone. And it's not very often in a 3-period game where you've got the winning goal scored in the third period, but that turned out to be the case on Tuesday.
Well, it's another game tonight as you move into Nanaimo. Then it's back to Victoria on tomorrow for Game 3. And that could be it because it's only a best-of-5, right? Yeah,
it's a rare playoff back-to-back. We get some back-to-backs during the regular season, but usually in the playoffs we go every other night. But due to some scheduling issues this year, we're doing a rare back-to-back. So it's 7 o'clock tonight at the Frank Crane Arena, and lots of Victoria fans are planning to take the drive up the Malahat to check in the action there, as they often do. And then back home for another one tomorrow night at 6:30. So at the Q Center. So no rest. It's a busy time of year, but the games all matter, and means a lot to the guys. This is what we've worked for all year, so they're eager to keep it going.
Now, lacrosse is such a physical game. Does the back-to-back, is it noticeable that the players get worn down because of that?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's grueling. Both floors are concrete floors, so there's absolutely no give there, and it is a full contact sport and lots of bumps and bruises. So, this time of year, everybody's playing through something, and often I've always said that it's the team that can stay the healthiest that usually has the advantage. You want two things in playoffs. You want really strong goaltending, which we've been getting from Chris Origlieri, and you want to stay healthy because injuries, will slow you down more than anything else.
Maybe describe the ambiance of the Frank Crane compared to the Q Center.
Yeah, they're very different. In the Q Center, you've got the crowd all around, and they're right on top of the action. And Frank Crane, they spread up the two sides there. If you've been in it, there's no real seats in either end. It's all on the side, and we get a pretty good contingent of Victoria fans up there. So sometimes it's a little hard to tell who the home team is, to be honest. But it really shows the island rivalry. And Frank Crane is a historic barn in its own right. It's been around a long time, and a lot of hockey and lacrosse has gone through there over the years, and certainly, the Shamrocks have had many battles in that place. We're very, very familiar with it, and lots of our guys also played a ton of junior up there. So it's a barn we all know, and we don't love going there, but we'd rather go there than to the mainland. It's a shorter trip and an earlier night home. So it's great to have the Island Series, and we're looking forward to making the trip up today.
One of the strengths of your program with the Shamrocks has been the success at the junior level as well. So the Junior A Shamrocks won last night, take a 3-2 lead in their series with Coquitlam. How important is that connection as you continue to, build really good teams?
Oh, it's everything. Without the strong foundation of minor lacrosse and a strong junior program, we're not going to be in any position to succeed. So yeah, it was a absolutely massive win for the juniors last night, taking down the defending champs in their own building to grab that critical Game 5, and now they have a chance to close it out on Saturday afternoon, 3:00 at the Q Center. So, in between, we'll have 2 games between now and then, which is hard to believe the senior A's will. So a little rest for the juniors while we get busy, but we'll be there cheering them on Saturday, hoping that they can close it out.
We're talking to the general manager of the Victoria Shamrocks, Chris Welsh, as we get ready for Game 2 of their WLA playoff series against Nanaimo. So it's an island rivalry. Game 2 is coming up. They won the first game. Victoria Shamrocks won the first game. We'll see what comes out of this one. And, of course, I'll just quickly set this up because, this, if it goes your way, you move on to another round for the WLA. And then if you win that, you go on to the Mann Cup, right?
Yeah, that's the path, and a lot of work to do to get there. But there's no easy route, just the direct one. So that's the one we're on, and we'll see how far we can take it.
Well, thanks so much for talking to us. Good luck with the game tonight and tomorrow. We'll be following it here.
Okay, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, there's Chris Welsh. And, good point, Steve, that we've got not just the senior Shamrocks kicking things off here this week, but the Junior A Shamrocks doing well as well.
Yeah, big win last night.
Yeah.
Going up 3-2 in the series, because so many times in sports, Game 5 is key. Now you can close it out at home. Real big opportunity there.
All right, we'll follow it. Right now, we'll get to the news. 8:30 News with Steve next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Celebrate our coast at Cadbro Bay Festival, Sunday, August 9th from 11 to 3 p.m. Victoria Symphony presents Symphony in the Summer Festival, July 10th through August 9th. Details at victoriasymphony.ca. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured. Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
It's 8:30 on Thursday, August the 6th. Got more sunshine, but more smoke haze in the forecast today. A full forecast to come. Right now, the news begins, and here is Steve Young.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. An internal government memo shows staff at the Federal Fisheries Department are worried that the U.S. government is about to adopt legislation that will jeopardize the survival of the North Atlantic right whale.
The memo was sent to senior officials in the federal department in May and was released to the Canadian press through an access to information request. It discusses a bill backed by U.S. President Donald Trump to delay new protections for the critically endangered whale until 2035. The Fisheries Department has said little about the proposed U.S. legislation, but the newly released memo shows experts inside the department believe the policy could have grave consequences for the species, of which fewer than 400 remain. Marine Programs Manager with the Canadian Wildlife Federation, Sean Brilliant, says the whales have rebounded slightly in the past few years because of government protections, but the Fisheries Department is right that delaying the protections puts whales' recovery at risk. John Kennedy, the Canadian Press.
Central Saanich Police, other local agencies investigating after receiving reports that an individual may be attempting to lure people closer to his vehicle by asking for directions or offering a ride. It may be associated with a white older model two-door vehicle with a roof rack driven by a South Asian male. While no connection's been confirmed, Central Saanich Police are investigating and sharing the information so residents can take appropriate precautions and report any suspicious activity. Members of the public are advised not to approach the vehicle or get close to the driver. If you are approached, maintain a safe distance, decline any offer, move to a populated area if necessary, and contact police as soon as it's safe to do so. It's been a year now since the city of Victoria stepped up its efforts to deal with disorder downtown. CTV Vancouver Island's Rob Buffum looks at what's changed for the business community since then, starting with Jeff Bray of the Downtown Business Association.
The province is not providing the services that clearly these individuals so desperately need. And until the province steps up and starts providing significant services, we're not going to see any real improvement.
The province tells CTV in a statement, "We will continue to work with our partners to improve access to mental health and addictions care for people so that people can access the right level of care based on their individual needs at the right time. For those working in downtown Victoria, and especially those living on its streets, that help is more than 6 months overdue."
The union representing WestJet cabin crew has shared details of the tentative deal reached with the Calgary-based airline this week after that one-day strike. Reporter John Kennedy with the details.
The Canadian Union of Public Employees says the deal includes a more than 18% wage hike over 3 years, as well as a new duty period premium that adds compensation for work done on the ground. It also includes increased time off and higher food and uniform allowances, among other things.
All WestJet flights across Canada were grounded over what was a long holiday weekend for many as the clock ticked down to the strike by 4,400 flight attendants who walked off the job early Sunday. Both sides reached a tentative agreement early Monday, and WestJet operations gradually returned to normal. Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada's tone towards the U.S. is quite firm and insists trade negotiations with Washington are constructive as an August 19th deadline for new tariffs draws near. The U.S. has threatened to impose new 50% tariffs on a wide range of Canadian imports in about 2 weeks. Today, federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says Carney isn't holding out for a better deal, adding, quote, "We have a bad deal."
While he makes the concessions that you would normally take to the table to get something in return. He backed down on the digital services tax, the Netflix tax. He agreed to Mr. Trump's demands on military spending and counter tariffs. Many of these things were going to have to happen, but why not bring them to the bargaining table?
And if you're looking for a beverage to help you cool off today, Bree Tennis has something in mind.
Today is National Root Beer Float Day, originally called a black cow when it was invented in 1893. Simple to make, drop a scoop of vanilla ice cream into a glass and pour root beer over the top. What happens next is pure science. The froth that forms is a process called nucleation. That's when air pockets in the ice cream give the carbon dioxide in the root beer a place to form bubbles. So it's fun, refreshing, and educational. I'm Bree Tennis.
I had no idea. The science of the root beer float, quite incredible.
Who would have thought? Not me.
That's your news to 8:35. Today's CFAX 1070 News Poll. Do you think BC needs to call a province-wide state of emergency due to the southern interior wildfires? Close to a 50-50 split with the yes side with a slight edge. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. It's 7:37.
Thank you, Steve. You might be out there listening saying, hey, wait a minute. They might have given away Rush tickets, but didn't they also have a 4-pack of tickets to give away to see Pacific FC take on Toronto at Starlight Stadium this weekend on Saturday? Well, you would be correct if you're thinking that. We still have those tickets to give away. We're going to do that in a few minutes. We're not going to do anything fancy, though. We've spent all of our creative juices on rushing through a Rush song, so we're just going to take a random caller and give you tickets in a few moments. So stand by for that. By the way, Steve, I got texters here. One text saying, I just wanted you to know that I get such a kick out of seeing how much you enjoy playing that rushing through a song game. Steve and I are literally killing ourselves laughing every time we play this game. This texter says, Rush is a great concept, celebrating a great Canadian band. Fun, says the texter. So glad it's going well. I'm having a lot of fun.
I am too. Like I said, the guitar riff off the top is just like, it's going to be memorable for years and years when I'm old.
You're going to remember.
And I hear a Rush song. I remember when Ryan sped that up.
Yeah, remember when it sounded like an 8-bit video game for some reason, and then Geddy Lee sounded like Alvin, the chipmunk? Anyways, we'll play again tomorrow. That's tomorrow. Soon, it's time for soccer tickets. That's coming up. But speaking of sports, let's get right into it. For the Victoria Shamrocks, we were just talking to General Manager Chris Walsh a few seconds ago. He's talking about the fact that tonight, of course, they're going into Nanaimo for Game 2. They won Game 1, the Shamrocks did. So they have a 1-0 series lead going into Nanaimo tonight for Game number 2. And Game 3 will be back in Victoria at the Q Center. They're doing a back-to-back, which he says is unusual. It's interesting to hear that. They don't often during the playoffs in the WLA do back-to-backs, but they will just because of scheduling reasons this time around, and that's what's coming at us. The Victoria Harbour Cats baseball team are done for the season. They got smoked out again last night. No last game of the season, although they say it didn't change the standings at all. They did not make the playoffs, and that wouldn't have changed, even if they could have played Wenatchee last night in Washington State, but the smoke was too bad. However, the Nanaimo Harbour Cats did get to the playoffs, and it's the first time they've ever done that in their 5-year history. They beat the Kamloops Northpaws 15-8 yesterday, and will now on Friday play their very first ever playoff game. In the majors, Toronto beat Houston in 10 innings, 5-4. Seattle down Detroit 4-2. And in the world of tennis, we've got National Bank Open action in Montreal with third-seeded Australian Alex de Minaur facing Britain's Cameron Norrie. Just one of the games going on for Canada's big tennis tournament. That's today, and that's your sports to 8:39. CFAX 1070, traffic and weather. By the way, morning show brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. Need a cab? Download the new Bluebird Cabs app at Bluebird Cabs Ltd. They're proudly local and Canadian owned and run since 1946. Things are still pretty typical out there. No crashes, no major backups for our major routes. We have the Fortis BC work going on Langford Parkway near Langford Lake Road again. That's going to be causing obstructions until 7 p.m. And in downtown Victoria, Yates Street closed between Quadra and Cook, so watch out for that full closure there. Actually, sorry, I should say Vancouver and Cook. That's the block I meant to say. For the weather forecast, smoke haze with us, otherwise it's sunny, and we have temperatures hitting 25 degrees. Sound familiar? Well, it's basically yesterday's forecast. It's even a little humid like it was yesterday, but it's also a little cooler by the Wandafika Strait, just like it was yesterday and the day before that. So the weather is just kind of continuing to be very stable this week. In fact, tomorrow looks very similar as well. Maybe a little windier off the Wandafika Strait tomorrow is the big difference. The weekend cools off just ever so slightly. Highs of 22 with a mix of sun and cloud for our Saturday and Sunday. Right now, it is 17 degrees. On the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto. Just down now. It was up to begin with. Now it's dropped 37 points to 36,109. The Dow is down 297 to 54,051. The NASDAQ is up 9 to 26,372. Canadian dollar down just a tick to 71.2 cents US.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Let's give away some tickets to see Pacific FC take on Toronto at Starlight Stadium this Saturday. Will this be the game where Pacific FC finally gets its first win of the season? We're just going to take a random caller at 250-386-1161. So call now, and we'll talk to you on the radio. Steve, what number should I pick? Pick a number between 1 and 6.
6.
Okay, caller number 6 is going to get the tickets at 250-386-1161. So while we wait for those calls to come in, there's another thing I want to check. At the very beginning of the show, Steve said that I thought today would be the day that we broke the $13,000 mark for the Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50. This is, of course, our 50-50 raffle we're doing on the radio all summer long in support of CFAX Status Anonymous. That's the sound of the raffle.
That's drums.
We did it. We got over 13,000 just in the last hour. We went over 13,000 to 13,050. So that's the jackpot. If you were to win this when we do the draw on August 28th, you'd be walking home with half of that, and half of it would be going to CFAX Status Anonymous. Go to CFAX1070.com for how you can buy your Mega Summer 50-50 ticket. Okay, let's take caller 6 for the Pacific FC tickets. Who's this?
This is John.
John, I want to give you some tickets.
That'd be great.
Well, let's just do this. We've made such a production of the Rush tickets. I figured we'll just make this one easy. All you got to do is call. Have you seen a Pacific FC game before?
We have. Yes, and it's great.
Yeah, they do a good job there in Starlight Stadium. Lovely outdoor stadium. I like the seats. I like everything about it. They do a great job. And I'm hoping, I don't want to jinx this by saying it too much, but I do hope this is the one. I hope what you get to see on Saturday is Pacific FC getting that first win of the season.
I hope so, too, as well.
Well, I got 4 tickets for you, so hang on the line. I'll get your information off the air, and we'll get you your tickets. But in the meantime, Steve, we'll get to the news. Take it away. What's happening in the world?
Well, checking your headlines today, rescue crews continuing that search for the young hiker after he became separated from his group while at Strathcona Provincial Park. Comox Valley Search and Rescue says the 25-year-old man was in the area of Paradise Meadows when he went missing Monday. A search later that day did not turn up the man. Crews continuing their efforts while asking for anyone who may have seen the missing person to contact the Mounties. BC Hydro buying the Island Generation Power Plant over in Campbell River to help strengthen electricity reliability on Vancouver Island as demand continues to grow. The natural gas facility produces 275 megawatts and is typically used during periods of peak demand, operating about 15 days a year over the past 5 years. Energy Minister Adrian Dix will be talking to Ryan about this in about 4 minutes' time. He says the purchase supports the province's long-term plan to expand clean electricity while ensuring dependable backup power stays available. And this will be the last year that the Richmond Night Market operates there, marking the end of one of North America's iconic summer events. Market founder Raymond Chung says in a statement that running the market for the past 26 years has been rewarding. He says the decision comes as the market's lease ends this year. That's your news headlines, 8:46.
Hey, I got one other sports thing I haven't talked about yet on the radio, Steve.
What you got?
Well, a texter just reminded me that a wrestling thing has happened. Chelsea Green from right here in Victoria won the WWE Women's World Championship. Apparently the first ever winner from Victoria, according to the texter.
Yes, it was a big wrestling weekend. ESPN was doing pre-wrestling shows for 6 hours.
Wow. Wow.
So congratulations to Chelsea. We've talked about her the odd time before. She has a very good social media presence. If you want to follow somebody who gets in there, interacts with fans, plays up storylines, she's very entertaining.
All right, there you go. Chelsea Green from Victoria with a big win. Check it out. Coming up next, we got a story this week that we want to follow. We've learned that BC Hydro is going to buy the Island Generation natural gas plant, which is up in Campbell River, with the province's energy minister saying this will support the province's plans to expand clean energy while keeping backup power available. Minister Adrian Dix, our Minister of Energy and Climate Solutions, joining us in just a few moments to talk more about this purchase and what it all means.
Where the noise stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations. From major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show. Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on CFAX 1070.
CFAX traffic and weather, things are pretty light on the West Shore commute. No crashes or accidents right now. We have construction delays on Yates between Vancouver and Cook. Full closure for that block. And there's also obstructions on the Langford Parkway near Langford Lake Road, which has been ongoing this week and will continue next week as well. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Now in season, fresh BC peaches. Joyfully juicy. Tree ripened under the Okanagan sunshine. Pick some up today at Thrifty Foods. Weather forecast, still got that smoke. In fact, at times today, we're going to go up to a 4 on the air quality index from Environment Canada. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is great and 10 is bad, we're at a 4, which is the moderate risk category, but not all day long. It's just kind of now it starts to ease up a little bit as we get further into the day. And temperature should get to a high of 25. Right now it's 17.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
There's a natural gas power plant up near Campbell River that BC Hydro is purchasing, they say, to help strengthen electricity reliability on Vancouver Island as demand continues to grow. We're going to find out more about this right now with Adrian Dix, Minister of Energy and Climate Solutions, joining us on the line. Sir, how you doing?
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
It's going all right. We were just actually on the radio a few moments ago talking about how Victoria's Chelsea Green, the wrestler, won the big WWE Women's World Championship. And you were mentioning we were omitting a very critical part of the story just when I was talking to you off the air.
Well, she won it in a match where they hang the belt, the title belt, above the ring, and you have to climb up a ladder to grab the belt, and she won it in that way. I think it's called a tables, ladders, and chairs match. It's a great Canadian tradition, of course, in wrestling, dating back to when I was a kid, Canada's greatest athlete, Gene Kiniski. And so Chelsea Green, you know, Bret Hart, all these people who are great legends of professional wrestling in Canada and in the world. And Chelsea Green is the latest champion from Victoria, BC, Canada.
Scrambling up ladders and tables and chairs to I guess, competing with other people trying to get there first.
That's right. There's five of them. They're fighting each other, and so she got a clear path at the end after two other wrestlers knocked themselves off the ladder and fell to the floor, which is kind of dangerous. All of it's kind of dangerous, and that's how she won the title. So big day for Victoria.
So it sounds like it's a lot like trying to buy a natural gas power plant in Campbell River. Is it sort of similar?
It's not at all like that.
Okay.
In fact, we use that plant now. We do about 15 days a year, and we have for most of this century, right? And so what we're doing is ensuring a stable supply for what's called peak days. So we use it 15 days a year. They're largely the highest energy use days a year, so that we have that as backup for the system. It's important on Vancouver Island. We're also, as you may have heard a couple of weeks ago, doing a new battery project in North Cowichan. It's important to back up our power on Vancouver Island because about Vancouver Island dams like John Hart and others supply about 40% of the power on Vancouver Island, and we bring over from the mainland about 60% of the power. So this is useful for that reason. I think people get worried about it because they hear natural gas, right? But 98.4% of BC Hydro's electricity is clean. That's going to continue. In fact, that's going to be 99 soon. But this allows us some flexibility in our system because we're going to use a lot more electricity in the next 25 years. We just are. And we have to take a whole bunch of actions. We're going to use about 50% more electricity to ensure and to build out renewable electricity, clean electricity, which is really important for people in BC. And in these days when we're dealing with forest fires, really important for the planet.
And why are we going to use so much more electricity? Is it population gains? Is it more electric vehicles putting demand on the grid? What is the reason for the big spike that's coming?
Right. So we've seen, I was Minister of Health before I was Minister of Energy. In my last 3 years as Minister of Health, we added 550,000 people. And so you see that in developments everywhere. This requires us to upgrade our grid because a lot of it is 50 and 60 years old. And so we need to do that. And we have new industries, especially industries such as mining, for example, that are going to use a lot of electricity as well. This is good news for our province. That we're going to be needing more electricity. And, you know, frankly, there's real challenges. One of what I've been mostly focused on this week is the impacts of forest fires on our transmission system across the province and our distribution system across the province. Hundreds of BC Hydro workers are out there dealing with it right now. We need to take actions to increase the amount of electricity we have and to reinforce our existing grid. And this helps us, as we're making those decisions, keep the grid more stable.
Now, back to the natural gas power plant that you're buying, BC Hydro is buying. So what was its backstory? So it was privately owned before, or who owned this thing before?
Yeah, that's right. So in about 2000, it opened. A little before then, I think. It was part of the Outfalls mill up there, right? So this allowed them a second utilization. The mill closed in 2010, and so it no longer provided sort of full power to the grid, but it provided the gas plant provided this what's called peaking power for peak days of utilization. And so we've had a contracted agreement with the company that owns it, Capital Power, over the last number of years, more than a decade. And now we're going to purchase it to ensure that we have that stable supply while we build out all forms of clean energy.
Yeah, so you kind of answered it, but I was going to ask, what do you get owning it versus the previous arrangement where you were still getting the power? You know, why do you need to buy it?
Yeah, it gives us it gives us some more stability. There were some questions as to whether it could continue to function. It has the following advantages, and you see this when you build anything new, even a renewable, even a new dam, right? It exists, it's modern, it's already connected to the grid, and it's about 1% of our grid or electricity in BC it represents. But replacing that 1% would be extremely expensive. So this gives us stability. We own it, and now we can use it to manage our systems on the days when we're using the most electricity. But what we really have to do is allow people to save money by conserving electricity. Power Smart 2.0, it's a significant new plan, our biggest Power Smart plan ever. We've got to optimize our existing resources. This is kind of part of that, which is to ensure that we're using to the maximum. So we have a project called Revelstoke 6 where we're adding a 6th turbine to Revelstoke, and we're upgrading all of our dams so we get more electricity from existing dams. That's the least expensive way of doing things, always. And finally, we have to build. And so we have, for example, 14 clean energy projects right now around BC. So those are the things we have to do to meet the demand of electricity over the next 20 years. This is a significant challenge for the province, but a real opportunity as well. And because we have BC Hydro, we're able to do that in an organized, effective, and very importantly in this time of climate change, in a way that supports climate action.
Adrian Dix is BC's Minister of Energy and Climate Solutions, and as we've learned, massive wrestling fan. That was one of the big takeaways for me today. Thank you for sharing all that information today.
Used to see All-Star Wrestling in the Agrodome here in Vancouver.
Love it. Adrian Dix, until next time, thanks for joining us.
Hey, take care, eh?
We're done for the day. See you tomorrow.